All right. What's going on, everybody? It's FP Dawn here. I'm pumped to be here streaming two back to back FPPL drafts. We have the Div 4 Atlantic League first, followed by the Div 4 Central. And we're going to be here pretty much until 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., so about 3 hours, assuming it's about an hour and a half for each draft. Yeah, Mike and Chris gave me the reins today, so I'm looking forward to being here tonight, answering your questions, commentating the draft. Hopefully things go well, and I'm looking forward to getting two more FPPL drafts under the way. It's one day closer to the hockey season, which we're all looking forward to. And thanks for tuning in. So we're just about 30 seconds until the draft starts. I think there'll be about a 2 minute window before we get started. But good to see everybody. If there's any questions throughout the night, feel free to ask. I'll be answering the chat too. And yeah, let's get started here. We got Div 4 Atlantic, as I mentioned. I got both logos up there because we're going to be going back to back right on the same stream. So don't go anywhere once this draft starts to end because we got another one starting up right away, and you don't want to miss it. All right, I got draft sounds off, so you guys aren't going to be going deaf with it. Starting off as expected with Connor McDavid, first overall by Datsuki and Deeks, who's actually the only returnee in Div 4 Atlantic. So he's a veteran, as you could say, and he also got first overall pick. So starting off with McDavid, McKinnon, Matthews, to no one's surprise. And now we got Pasternak here. So let's see who Dynasty X picks. Goes Kucherov at 1-5. And Leon goes to Shake and Bake at 1-6. So nothing too crazy here. Leon at 6th overall is kind of crazy to think. Just about like a year or two ago, he was going 2nd overall, right? So some potentially good value here as long as he can get back to that 100-point kind of area that we expect him to. So we see our first D go at the 8th spot to Marty Party. Takes Cale Makar, followed by JT Miller, who I think 9th overall for Miller is probably the highest we've seen so far. But hey, in a bangers league, he's got good value, probably 90 points again for him. Panarin goes 10th, followed by the currently day-to-day Willie Nylander. That was pretty crazy what happened last game with Willie getting hit in the face by someone's shin pad, but pushed by his own teammate Nick Robertson. But I think Berube, the coach, said he's all good, so not to worry there. All right, so no Fox given, quite the unique name. Got to be careful pronouncing that. He goes Kaprizov and Yossi at the turn, which is very, very good. No complaints with that. Matty Kachuk goes at the 2-2 spot. All right, Logan knows hockey. Keeper league, 12 man. I've kept Austin and Kaprizov. All I have 10 picks, so I'm thinking I'll go like a defenseman, whichever one's available. Yeah, if you're a keeper, you pretty much just got to assess who's kept. I don't know if you can see that ahead of time, what keepers other teams are holding on to. Obviously, if like a Yossi's there at 10th pick, then definitely take him. But I agree with you. A defenseman, maybe like a Hedman or a Bouchard, in the first round, given that you got two stud players, is a great idea. Samson, welcome to the chat. No, it's not Sven. This is Don. I was thinking of putting a name tag just because I didn't know how many of you guys would recognize me from last year. All right, so we got the brothers go back to back, Matt and Brady, followed by Jack Hughes and Philip Forsberg from Marty Party. So we got 2D off the board, Makar and Yossi, which is not that surprising, but Marty Party's got to be pretty happy with his start there out of the 8-hole with Makar and Forsberg. I agree with you, Excursion. I put a poll in the Discord probably maybe 3 weeks ago, asking people, assuming the top three is who we expect, who goes for, and I was surprised how few people picked Leon, but some people did. So it was good to see. But yeah, I think he could really go anywhere from 4 to 8 and probably give you good value. All right, so we see 3D go back to back to back off the boards. Stack Tack takes Bouchard, Shake and Bake, grabbing Darlene, and Dynasty going with Quinn Hughes. So a lot of people going with that 1-4, 1D combo to start. We do see D fly off the board in FPPL drafts quite a bit. Lice Pedersen goes at 2-9 to Corn Fried Chicken. Tim's finally a draft with Panarin in the first round, almost like he put up 50 goals, 120 points, and 300 shots last season. Second round's disrespectful. I agree. I think he's probably a tail end of the first round. It was kind of a season out of nowhere. I think we can all admit. So the shots were coming, and kind of no one expected it to, right? So he kind of started shooting a ton out of nowhere. Usually shots that were kind of dispersed between guys like Trocheck and Zib. All of a sudden, he was taking those shots instead of being a solely assist guy. So yeah, it was great to see kind of a secondary breakout for Panarin, but I think the 10 to 12 area is definitely fair for him. All right, so Plosive takes Mitch Marner at 210. He goes Leaf back to back, so he's stacking up on the Leafs. Never a bad idea to stack up on the same team, especially if they're both on the same power play unit, which obviously these two are. You just got to hope that they have good seasons, right? So I think you're safe with Toronto, but stacking up on another team that's maybe like in the middle of the pack, it might be a little bit riskier. All right, so getting jiggy with it goes with J Rob at 211, and now we got Datsuki and Deeks with back to back picks at the turn. Hopefully everyone's having a good Friday night. I know I am. Anything to do with fantasy hockey is a good night for me. Got a good amount of viewers in here. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave while you're checking out the stream. So Datsukian starts with Gensel at 212. I'm going to guess he takes a D here at the turn, but there's not a ton of those kind of first and second round D available. We got guys like Dobson, and we'll see who he goes with. Last season was an anomaly for Panarin, though. I agree, Excursion. It wasn't an anomaly as in it was completely out of the blue. Like he was still an all-star and a stud, but definitely the shot rate just came out of nowhere. Kind of like Quinn Hughes' shot rate to begin the year. He was shooting like at rates we've never seen before from him. All right, so Datsukian kind of skips the D, goes Gensel Ovi at the turn. So I think that's probably the earliest we've seen Ovi go so far in the FPPL drafts. We're only about I'd say 5 drafts into the 12, 5 or 6 into the 12. So 3-1's definitely the highest for Ovi in the third round. Getting jiggy with it. Also following suit, avoiding the D right now goes Tage Thompson, who is an FP bounce back candidate. Hughes your daddy. Panarin isn't a first rounder. Well, your name's Hughes. I'm gonna assume it's the New Jersey Hughes, and I would assume you don't like the Rangers. Speaking of Rangers, Plosive takes Adam Fox, and then there goes Dobson. So I'd probably be taking Dobson before Fox just because he offers a little bit more peripheral upside. But both are obviously PP1D gonna put up 60 plus points, probably more for Fox. There's Timmy Stew at 3-5, also probably a bounce back candidate. Crosby goes 3-6, and we got Stack Attack up. No reason he can't do it again. Panarin was 6th in fantasy points per game under these exact settings last year. Yes, he's a first rounder. Agree to disagree. I guess that's a comment back at Hughes, your daddy. Wonder if we'll see the reverse Sam this draft. I did. I was watching a little bit of that draft that Mike hosted, and then I even had to rewatch some of it again today just to see how dramatic it really was. Because I tuned in probably around like the 8th or 10th round when I saw like the Zuccarellos and Letang. So that was pretty funny. I don't think we're gonna see that here, but you never know. Think drafters are high on Ovi for the record. I do. I think people are probably thinking he's going to try and push and maybe overdo it on the shots just to try and get it. I don't know if Washington's going to be welcoming for him to force it because it's going to kind of be expected, especially when he gets close to that record. But you know, I wouldn't take him third round probably, but he could easily be back to that 40 goal Ovi that we know and love. All right, so Stack Tech goes Hyman right after Crosby at 3-7, and then we get Point, which is a great pick at 3-8. Hedman, who actually went a little later than I was expecting, he goes 3-9, so that's a great pick for Sled Dog's first D. KC goes 3-10, followed by Reinhardt at 3-11. So almost in the fourth round. We saw Reinhardt drop to the fourth round last draft, and quite a few people were saying he was not a fourth rounder, myself included. So glad to see him stick in the tail end of the third round. Timo Meyer, FP favorite, goes at the turn, followed by Wyatt Johnston, who I'm pretty big on this year. If you've been following the FP Twitter, I suggest you do. If you're not following them, we tweeted about Wyatt Johnston, and he was regular season last year around that 17 minutes average time on ice per game, which was good. But then when the game started to matter in the playoffs, he was seeing 20 plus a night, and he obviously had a great playoffs too. I think he was around like just over a point per game, scoring goals as he usually does. So if he can get like that 18, 19 minutes per night, I really like Wyatt to score 40, maybe even close to 50 this year. All right, so fourth round, whipping through it. We got Kreider, followed by Jarvis and Bratt. So have a Heisky and Ryan's rad team. They both don't have D yet. They've gone 4 forwards to start. Hey, that might work out. You never know. Following Bratt, we got Aho, and then we got our first goalie with Igor Shesterkin, who I would also be picking as our first goalie. Dougie Hamilton, Andrei Svechnikov, the bangers and the oft injured banger goat. But if he gets a healthy season or even 70 games, I'll take. We should be in for a good year for him fantasy wise. Papa Panda, yes, I am doing commentary for both drafts. I'll be here from pretty much 7 until 10 Eastern time. So, tune in if you check out, come back in for the next draft if you want. I'll be here pretty much all night. Love the Tage pick at 3-2. Yep, Tage, we know his upside. We know his shooting capability if he's healthy. I think 40 goals is definitely reasonable. Again, we've seen it once already. Don't like the Rangers is putting it lightly. Yeah, I kind of figured with the name. So, but even I don't think he is this year. Well, even if you don't think he's a first rounder, you got to admit he's a second rounder. So, keep your enemies close. Reinhardt finally went. Yeah, he did. He went earlier than last night though, when I think he went fourth round. Casey or Thompson. I prefer Thompson probably. I like just kind of his shooting consistency. Casey was a little bit streaky last year. I want to say he was also hurt. I think he missed some games, but Tage wasn't healthy either. But Thompson definitely would be my pick. Your guys' opinion? Oh, he's looking for our opinion. Yeah, so Thompson would be my pick for sure. Hughes, don't be afraid to answer questions. You guys are more than welcome to answer questions as well. I'll try and get to all of them as well. All right, so after the Svetch pick, we saw Corn Fried Chicken take Steven Stamkos, the PP Merchant. And then we got our second goalie, Hellebuck, who I agree should be the second goalie. And then we got Jack Eichel, who, pretty interesting pick. I'm totally fine with him in the fourth round there. I believe he's center only on Yahoo, but it's a kind of a dark horse pick. He could be really, really good if healthy, point per game kind of good. So no issues with that. And then we got Bedard going at 412 by Datsyukian, who's gone also 4 forwards to start. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 teams still without a D. So yeah, they're kind of just avoiding the D. Maybe a couple of them got taken too early, but there we go. We got Datsyukian take 5 forwards with Kempe. I'm a big Kempe guy. He's a great bangers target. Gives you some hit volume, some block volume, and obviously 40 goal capability. Picking 12th in a bangers league Monday, 12-13 pick forward or forward and D. I think I'd go forward D personally. Like I'm a big fan of taking Yossi in the second round. I think he's the second best D off the board, obviously after Makar. So if you can get Makar Yossi at one of those picks, I would do that, and then kind of take the best available forward that fell into the second round. It's a bangers league, so you might be looking at like a JT Miller, Panarin, Willie Nylander, Kaprizov, someone like that would be great. Wyatt just keeps rising and rising. Word is out. I think it is too. Yeah, gone are the days where you could get some value on Wyatt, just like word is spreading on Joel Eriksson and Trocheck as well. Definitely a second, says Hughes. Yeah, welcome. Good to see you in here, Wicked. I am double shifting it. Thinking Hughes and Cap could be available according to what's going on in the group chat. Hey, if you wanted to go back to back forwards, you just got to make sure you get those kind of mid round D starting in like round 4 to 7 or 8. That's pretty important to do. So if you're going to go back to back forwards to start, especially Hughes, who we've yet to really see a fully healthy season from. Volume kind of low on the stream for anyone else. I haven't heard anything yet. Definitely suggest turn up your mic or turn up your volume. If it's something you think I could fix, just let me know. Crosby or Thompson, that's pretty tough. I'm gonna probably say Tage just because of his age, and I'm not trying to rhyme either. So Crosby's really consistent too, but I think I like Tage for the bounce back and the 40 goals. I think we're done seeing 40 goals from Crosby, even though he's still a great pick. All right, so after Kempe, we saw Uyghur and Morrissey go. We see 3D go this round, round 5 here. Uyghur, the Bangers gem, I guess you could say, 20 goals last year. Also a member of the 100, 100, 100 club for 100 blocks, hits, and shots. So that's a pretty safe pick, and that's getting jiggy with its first D off the board. Should be PP1 in Calgary. There's a couple rumors going around. It might be Barry. It might be Rasmus Anderson. It might be Miramanov. But so far, we've seen Uyghur. I know that's a topic that the FP guys and I have discussed amongst ourselves as to who it's going to be. Then Plosive goes with Morrissey. Then we got the Matt Boldy pick. Hopefully, a good season from him. We got Moritz Seider, also a Bangers gem. Cole Caulfield, who the FP guys really like a lot as well. Good shot volume. Hopefully the team's going to be a little bit better this year, a little bit healthier. We got the back-to-back goalies with Saros and Vasilevsky. So we see Stack Attack actually go back-to-back goalies with Igor and Saros. So he is completely ignoring the zero goal strategy that we see a lot of people doing these days. And that's going to give him some security in that, right? So he's not going to have to be waking up early and going through the waiver wire to try and find a goalie. We got back-to-back D here. Sled Dog takes Morgan Riley and Miro Heiskanen, so another 2 PP1D. You really should be taking only PP1D at this point in the draft, and that's what you kind of get, those kind of lowish periffs, PP1D, so both have 60-point upside. Both are going to probably be PP1 and not really have much competition. We see Swayman go from Ryan's rad team, so he does take Swayman despite not being signed yet. A little bit risky. I probably wouldn't have taken him before Ottinger. I'm surprised actually Ottinger fell that far in the goalie rankings. He's on a really, really good team, a really deep team that should kind of get 35 wins if he can stay healthy. I would have definitely taken Ottinger over Swayman, but if Swayman signs, we all know how good he can be. We saw Mika go in between the two goalies by no Fox given, so he goes center and then goalie. We got Brad Marchand. All right, so I think if we're looking at a veteran team close to Sam's team, it'll probably be Ryan's rad team. He's gone with a couple vets here. Kreider, 30 plus. Sam Reinhart's got to be around 30 now. And Brad Marchand, who we know is pretty old. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. Have a Heiski after taking Heiskanen, fitting to the name, goes Konechny. So that'll be a little bit of a bangers boost for him. Hopefully Philly, don't really know what to expect from them. They were kind of on the cusp last year of the playoffs, but looking a little bit better this year with their young talent. And then we see Sled Dog go with Clayton Keller, so he gets the right wing, left wing eligibility forward. And his team's looking pretty balanced. Got 2D, couple forwards, couple wingers, couple centers, couple wingers. So he just needs a goalie kind of thing, and he could field the team right now. Matty Barzal goes at 6'5" by Marty Party. We did see him kind of getting some reps on the wing in preseason and in training, so that'll be interesting to see if he ever does actually get some time on the wing and maybe get the eligibility. That would be big for him, who's sometimes drops a little bit lower than he deserves just because of that pure C position. All right, so back to back, we got McAvoy, an FP Sven fave, and Carlson, an FP Mike fave. So two really, really good D that I'm totally fine with in the 6th round. Larkin follows by Dynasty. And then we got Werenski going by Corn Fried. That's his second D off the board, following Dobson. Owen Tippett goes after Werenski to Plosive. That's his first left winger. And we got Sergachev go. So getting jiggy with it, kind of did that punted D in the first 4 rounds, and he goes back to back with Uyghur and Serg. All right, what do we think of defense in round 1 and 2 start? What do we think of a defense in round? As I said, yeah, defense in round 2 by all means, like that's totally fine. We got the Makars, we got the Yosis that you can take. I'll probably stop moving the screen around so much. Sorry, guys. I'm flipping up and looking at teams' earlier picks. Forsberg or Robertson in a full bangers with Pims. I'm going to go Forsberg slightly. I'm not sure what Pavelski being off the team is going to do for Robertson. I've heard people say it's going to help him, and I've heard people say it's going to hurt him, having that kind of reliable veteran on his line. But Hintz is there now, so that should help regardless. I'm going to go Forsberg a little bit safer. Nashville undoubtedly improved this year, so I'll take Forsberg and his periffs. Yeah, Julian, you're right. Like Makar, Yossi, those are pretty much the two guys I'd be targeting first if I'm going D early. Low for me too, full volume on my headphones. All right, let me see if I can turn up this. Desktop audio, mic audio. I'll maybe put it a little closer to my mouth. Hopefully that works. Volume is low. I just have a good setup so I can pump it. Okay, good to know, Connor. Thank you. I'll look into it. Hopefully, I get a little bit of a break between the two drafts, and then it'll be a good time for me to look into it. Who is a sleeper goalie that you like? All right, so there's a couple. If we're talking like deep sleepers, Corpusalo is a good one that you can get late. A lot of people still aren't on him yet. He's gonna probably get the majority of the starts until Swayman signs. Otherwise, later guys, I'm kind of on the Dustin Wolf train. He's had a good preseason so far. I like him as like a late number 2 if you're punting goalies, or a number 3, just kind of keep him as some security. His only competition in it is Daniel Vladar, so I don't think he's going to be too like stricken for the crease. He's going to probably get his fair share. I'd assume like a 60-40, as long as Wolf can kind of keep up in the NHL. So those are two guys I would be looking at. I like Jack and Kaprasov at 12, but if one of them's taken, yeah, I'm okay with that. You can go Yossi if either of them are gone. I really don't like double D to start. I wouldn't do double D either. I would probably go forward D and just take the best available forward. Brat or Zib. I'm going with Zib. I like the Rangers a little bit better. He's PP1 on a really, really good team, and not to say that Brat isn't, but we've kind of seen Brat just be around the point per game. And I think we still need to see a little bit more from him to be in the Zib category. Charlie Mack, also personal favorite. Yeah, McAvoy's been great. He's kind of a little bit of a quieter D. He gets PP one time. He puts up the peripherals that you need, and he's on a really good team. So I agree. Charlie is a good D. I know Sven likes him a lot, and he won't tell you it, but he is a Boston fan. Do your thing. Volume may be a little low, but it's clear. All right, I'll just start yelling at you guys. I'll talk a little bit louder. All good. Volume seems good. All right, so I'm glad the volume's okay. If it's a little bit low, definitely try and turn up your volume. As I said, I'll take a look after. I don't want to spend all my time fiddling around with the setup to try and get the volume up. Deep, deep, deep. Mike likes Tarasov and Urson. Yeah, that's right, Wicked. Tarasov's a good one. Again, you're kind of playing with fire in terms of the team strength. You're not going to see a ton of wins come. I know Tarasov had a really good end to the season last year when Merzlikins was struggling. So Tarasov would be another kind of in that Wolf category, tier three goalie, or sorry, number three goalie on your team. All right, let's get caught up here. I'm getting distracted by the comments. So we see Tuck go, followed by Matheson by Datsukin. So he takes his first D, which is the Habs PP1D Matheson. I'm glad to see someone take Matheson and a little bit later than I would have expected, but he's still the PP1D as of now, and a lot of people talking about Lane Hudson going to break out. He very well could, but I think he's still in a situation where Matheson's got to play himself out of that PP1 role. So we see Verhage go, followed by Kevin F, Barkov, Nuge, Trocheck, and Joel Eriksson. So there are those two guys. Trocheck and Eriksson are gems in fantasy. Guys that you can usually, in previous years, you used to be able to get guys like Trocheck and Eriksson like double digit rounds, and they would finish top 20 in your league if you had bangers or face off wins. So they're up a little bit into the round 7, but that's still totally fine for your C. Like Stack Attack, that was a great pick. That's his first center he took, so no issues with that. Then we get Brock Besser and Matt Zuccarello. So that seems a little bit early for Zook. I know point wise, if you're sorting by points, he's probably around that, but he is aging a little bit. Kind of unsure about what the top 6 is going to look like in Minnesota. He might be playing with Kaprizov, but if he doesn't really offer a ton of peripheral upside. So I don't love that 7-9 pick for Zook, but it'll be fine. It is a right winger, which is a thin position. So we see Faber go at 7-10, so back-to-back Wild, followed by Georgiev, who I guess if you've been following the FP content, there's a little bit of a doubt for him in terms of what his start share is actually going to look like. Would not be surprised to see kind of a 60-40 to start for Georgiev, and then if he plays like he was last year, maybe even drop to like a 50-50 with a Noonan. So a Noonan's a guy that also fits into that third goalie category. Totally put him in the Tarasov Wolf conversation, maybe even a little bit higher just because of the team. No Fox given. Goes Hagel Sanderson at the turn. I'm a fan of the turn picks. I'd rather probably pick 12 than I would pick like 4 to 6, 4 to 8 even, just because you kind of get your decisions made for you. You don't have to kind of stress out about picking between two guys. So he gets Hagel Sanderson. His second D is Sanderson. Which is fine. Expected to be PP1. He does have a supposedly healthy Shabbat back, but we all know what that means. Probably 50 games out of Shabbat. Tavares goes in the 8th. That's totally fine. I like Tavares a lot too. Very underrated and underappreciated just because he's getting a little bit older and a little bit slower, but he does his job, wins faceoffs. Shoots the puck. I think last year he even had a career high in hits at his age, like what, 32, 33 seasons. So no issues with Tavares. We go back-to-back goalies again like we did earlier. This time it's Bob and Sorokin. So also two number 1 goalies. No issues with that. We see DeBrincat go in round 8, which I really like. I think I took DeBrincat last year in the Creators League. I want to say 3rd or 4th round. I really reached on him, and I thought I was a genius to start the year because he had a great start, and then he really cooled off a little bit. So I kind of want that Chicago DeBrincat back where he gets that 40 goals. He just needs a setup guy. So I don't know if that's going to be Raymond or Larkin or what, but he's still looking to be on the first line and PP1. So 8th round is great for him. Slavkovsky, who's a great FP favorite again. He could turn into one of those like Vincent Trocheck, Joel Eriksson guys. Skinner goes, followed by Montour and Markstrom. And then we got Hannafin going after, and then Kyrou. So I love Kyrou. I'm a big Kyrou fan this year. 8th round is earlier than I was expecting him to go, but I also can't see the draft board, so I'm not exactly sure who you were kind of competing with for the center position. Hannafin's supposed to be PP1 on Vegas. At least he's getting the reps there. I'd assume it's him and Theodore that are probably going to battle for it. But Hannafin looked, I believe he was on it this morning when we looked at the lines. Markstrom, totally fine in New Jersey. He gets a fresh start. Montour, the pick by Dynasty. I'm a little hesitant on that. I think he's probably the best offensive defenseman on that team, but they also have Vince Dunn, who was their PP1 guy last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dunn keeps it and kind of plays into a similar spot with like that Matheson's in, where you have to play yourself out of the role. All right, so we got Datsukian back on the clock. He goes with back-to-back D. He takes Theodore, who I just mentioned. So Hannafin and Theodore go within 2 picks of each other. 6-1 for Tuck seems a little early. I agree, Justin, probably a little bit early, but I think he was just in a situation where he needed a right winger. Buffalo also could surprise a lot of people this year. Is the 4th to 6th round fair value for Stutzel, Eriksson, Tippett, and Bangers with Pims? Yep, all those guys I would be okay with. They're not huge reaches. Stutzel for sure. Eriksson we just saw go round 7, so you kind of have that benefit of him being a pure C in your case, where you might not need to reach on him to the 4th or 5th. So 6 is where I kind of like the Jeek pick. Likewise with Tippett, if you can kind of get him late of that range, so maybe 6 or 7, that's totally fine. But Tippett's a great player and still a little bit underrated in the NHL. He shoots a ton. He's just got to get into Tort's good books a little bit more. People have been high on Matheson and Carlson. Would be crazy to take them even earlier in this draft. Nope, no, I don't think so. They're PP1 and they're pretty reliable. So you look at Matheson, if you're not in a plus minus league, you put up 60 points last year on PP1. Like, you kind of know what you're going to get from him as long as Hudson doesn't cut into that time. I think 60 points on a pretty bad team is very solid. I drafted Matheson, I think, in 1 or 2 leagues last year and was totally fine with him. I like Ottinger in the 6th round. Seth would be proud. Yes, that is a great pick. I agree. Could very easily lead the league in wins. I'm also in favor of the late turn picks. Agreed. I think, as I said, takes away that decision for you. Hagel pick solid. Yep. Yeah, as you said, Connor. Carlson, Matheson, both fine, and both could have easily gone a round or 2 earlier. All right, so after Theodore, we see Datsukian go with Patrick Kane. Again, I think he was just in a situation where they were running out. He was running out of right wingers, or probably wingers that he could start. So Tuck and Kane, not too ideal right wingers I'd want on my team, but good enough for the mid rounds like this. Erik Karlsson goes 9-2, could pay off, assuming he kind of goes back to PP1. I think he's hurt right now. I'm not sure what his status is going to be for the start of the season yet, but to be determined. Batherson goes 9-3, and then Seth Jones 9-4, who, again, kind of like Matheson, could easily put up 60 points on a not so good team. He's going to be PP1, probably doesn't have a lot of competition. There's some rumors Kevin Korchinski, who did get some PP1 time last year, is going to be starting the year in the AHL. I'm not sure if that's like a service time manipulation or they just don't think he's ready for a full season. I'm not sure, but really there's no one breathing down Jones's back for PP1 time, so I like that pick a lot by Corn Fried Chicken in the 9th. That's his 3rd D off the board, so that's totally fine for number 3. We got Nick Suzuki, and then we got JJ Paterka at 9-6. Rob Thomas, great singer as well. Rob Thomas, I think he's Canadian. Rupe Hintz goes 9-8 after Thomas, so I think Hintz. I honestly, Mike mentioned it a couple drafts ago. Hintz used to be going like round 3 and 4 because he was on a really good Dallas team, supposedly the 1C there, and now you see him going all the way in 9th. So when you see those dramatic drop offs for like not really a great reason, I'm always a fan of kind of scooping them up. So Hintz at 9 in the 9th is awesome. Lafreniere and Raymond go back to back, so 2 left wingers. Me and FP Chris have an ongoing feud about Raymond. I won't get into the details, but it always makes me think of it anytime I see his name, and it'll probably make me think of it for the rest of his career. Marchessault at 9 at the 11th pick, followed by Heischer. And then no Fox given goes Harley at 10. So first pick in the 10th round is Harley. That's his third D off the board. I like the Marchessault pick a lot too. I think he's kind of a lock for 30 goals. I just hope that being on a team now with three or four other kind of elite snipers is not going to take away his shooting volume. But ninth round is totally fine for the risk. All right, Paterka round 9, amazing pick. Yeah, Paterka's probably been one of the most talked about names in the Discord in the past couple of days or even past couple of weeks. So he was a great 5-on-5 player last year and a good power play target this year. So he's probably going to be PP1. They did lose Jeff Skinner, who opens up a spot kind of on the power play. So yeah, I like Paterka. Ninth round is great. High on Sanderson. He passed the eye test too. Yep. So Sanderson, I don't know if any of you guys, I assume you guys use Elite Prospects, but that's a great site for, they're starting to get into the fantasy hockey a little bit too. So I do like follow them a little bit, and they released one of their fantasy guides last year with a tweet of ours regarding Jake Sanderson. So they asked us to kind of make a bold pick, and we predicted the St. Jake Sanderson taking over PP1. So that actually made their fantasy guide, which is pretty cool to see. Nice shout out to Fantasy Puck there. Dude skates Mach 5. Sanderson, yeah, he's great. I think when they drafted him, they pretty much told him as soon as he was done college, whenever you're ready to come to the NHL, let us know, and you got a spot. Are all the FP guys from Canada? Yes, we all are from Canada. Kind of all around Ontario. Sven and Mike are kind of northern Ontario, and Chris and I are from more southern Ontario. But yes, all from Canada. All went to school together. All right, so we see a string of 5D go back to back, starting with Harley at the turn. As I mentioned, Ryan's rad team takes Forsling, and I think he's pretty much as close to Sam as you can get from the other draft, taking the vets. So he went Marchand, Gorgiev, Tavares, Marchessault, and Forsling. So all guys around 30 or higher. Um, it's not quite Sam level, but it's a good effort. I give Ryan props for that. Chikrin goes, followed by Ghost Spare, who's probably going to be PP1 on Carolina. It's really just Burns that's giving him the competition, and he's aging. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to kind of ease up on the Burns minutes. Letang goes 10-5. That's a great pick. I'm a big fan of Letang still offers really good hit volume and block volume. And this league has both, as you can see. So all right, so Vetrano and Natchez go. I'm a big Vetrano fan. A lot of people are saying he's not going to repeat what he did last year. It's probably true. Anaheim was like riddled with injuries, so he didn't really have an opportunity to, or he wasn't in his normal opportunity of like 60 minutes. They had to bump him up to like 18 because there was no one else to play, and he really took advantage of that. So I hope he gets some, I guess, more trust from the team and from his coach, Cronin, I think their name is. So I'm a Frankie V fan, especially in a bangers. Kochkov goes 10-8. That is Dynasty's first goalie. So he was going kind of the 0G strategy. Do we have any others with 0G? I think getting jiggy with it does not have a goalie. I would not be surprised if he goes here now, as he is on the clock. And I think everyone else has a goalie. Yeah, everyone's got at least one, so it's just getting jiggy with it now without one. You got full authority to take whoever you want here. It's a kind of a nice feeling. It's like when you punt quarterback in fantasy football. All right, so Michkov goes 10-9, a little bit early for him. I don't really know what to expect for him, to be honest. I haven't watched a ton of him. I've seen a few highlights, and he looks good. But again, it's Torts. That's the coach there. You can't get in his bad books, or you're gonna be healthy scratched, like we've seen some guys there. Horvat goes at 10-10. Reliable 30 goal scorer there. Should be no issues with that again this year. Justin Falk, who I like, didn't have a great year last year, kind of a down year, but he was also a little bit hurt. Only played 60 games, as we can see there. So he should be PP1. He doesn't have Krug there. Perunovic has not shown us anything in the NHL. So That was a big round for D. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 D go out of 12. So a lot of D ended with Shabbat. Datsukin Deek's going to take another player here at the turn to start the 11th. Got good viewership here, guys. Make sure you drop a like. I assume by now, probably all of you are in the Discord. If you're not, get in there right now. We got a link in our bio in the description. So no excuse to not be in there. We got too many good hockey minds, too good of a community to not join in. All right, so Datsukin goes with Gunther, Dylan Gunther at 11. I kind of was didn't know what to expect of him this year. I guess Utah kind of showed us what they thought of him with that big contract they just signed him to. So a little bit early probably for what we've seen from him. But if he turns into a 40 goal scorer, then maybe that ends up being a steal for them. So I don't mind that pick. He's going to be PP1, and probably the puck's going to be running through him on the power play, given that what his shot is. We see Boone Jenner go, so a healthy Boone Jenner could be a league winner. We know what his block, hit total, face offs can be. We just need to see 70 plus games out of him. Vince Dunn at 11-3. So as I mentioned, Montour and Dunn, the separation is really big. There's like almost 3 full rounds of separation between Montour and Dunn, who are on the same team now. I think, as I said, Dunn's probably going to get PP1 to start, but that's a great pick in the 11th round with Dunn. I think Plosif, he actually had 4D now, so he didn't need the D, but that's a great pick. You take what's available for you. Worry about the positions later. Buchnevich and Velarde go, then Ehlers. So Shake and Bake takes Ehlers, which I think new coach, new system. Hopefully, we're gonna see maybe finally the Ehlers big breakout that we've been waiting for. We know he's capable of probably I think he's done just under a point per game in his career in some of his best seasons, but we need to see him kind of get to that 80-point plateau. Maybe this is the year. Wanted to mention about Wyatt Johnson's ADP has become too rich for me. I agree. I could see that. It is kind of getting out of hand when he's in like the third round and stuff, but it's a 40 goal scorer likely that we're gonna get. So if you can take a 40 goal scorer after the first round, there's not many of them in the league. So I agree. The higher it gets, the worse it gets for the people that have been on him for a while. Is Brant Clark this year's Harley? I don't know if you saw that somewhere, Justin, but FP Chris just said that exact thing about 4 hours ago in our chat. So he very well could be taking over for Doughty. Looks like he's going to be PP1. I don't really see the offense from Jordan Spence right now. And he only, I think, buried 2 goals last year. So I don't think they're going to immediately go to Spence. If Clark struggles, and maybe even struggles at 5-on-5, they might mix it up. But yeah, I assume he's going to be PP1. We just got to see some more peripheral improvement from him. Hey, Canadian boys, awesome fellas. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Tynan. Don't forget to like the stream. Thank you, Wicked. I agree with that. Hamilton or Uyghur in bangers. If Luke Hughes was healthy, I'd say Uyghur without a doubt. I'm going to go with Hamilton just because I think you get more point security right now. Hughes is out for 6 to 8 weeks. That was probably 2-3 weeks ago. So we're still looking at maybe another month plus of no Luke Hughes to give Hamilton any competition. I thought I followed hockey pretty closely, but I had no idea who Gunther was and why they signed him for what they did. Am I the only one? Definitely don't think you were the only one. It does not help that he was on Arizona, who was not very a popular team, wasn't very popular in the media. So unless you were kind of following fantasy at the tail end of last year, you probably don't know who Gunther was. So no worries if you didn't know him. Just kind of keep an eye on him this year, especially if he wasn't drafted. If you have a shallow league, maybe 10-team league, your friends might not have drafted him. All right, let's get caught up here. Burns goes at 11-8 after Brant Clark. I'd probably just go Burns instead of Clark, to be honest. I'd swap those. It gives a little bit more security and a little bit more category coverage. Joseph Wall goes to Sled Dog, and he's taken 3 goalies now in a span of 5 picks. So he is good for goalies. He went Wall and Freddie Anderson. Matt Duchene goes, and that's definitely a homer pick. I gotta say, Duchene in the 11th round is a little bit high, but it is a Dallas fan with Hava Heisky. So homer pick, no worries, totally fine with Duchene. He'll probably be the 2C there. Devin Tays and Landeskog. So no Fox given, planning to stash Landeskog. We do have IR spots in this league, so take advantage. I think it's IR plus actually, both. So take advantage of the IR spots. Don't fade a guy that's hurt if he's going to be coming back in a couple weeks. So there we see Lane Hudson go at 12. That's fine. Luke Hughes at 12 as well. So those kind of picks, just flyers that pretty much could take over a power play unit at some point this year if injuries happen or if they just start playing out of their minds. All right, so now we just had the round of D before. Now we got the round of goalies here. We got 5 goalies going, maybe a sixth, depending on Datsuki and Deeks. He is doing the 0G strategy, so it's getting a little bit late. Wouldn't be surprised if he was holding out for one of these guys like Allmark or Kemper. All right, so he goes Lindholm. That's fine too. We like Lindholm as a sleeper, playing 1C in Boston. He's going to be on past his line, past his power play unit. All right, so covering the rest of these picks, we went Allmark Anderson as back-to-back goalies. Then we went Brady Shea, who's pretty much the number 2 in Nashville right now. Jake DeBrusk and Nichushkin, so Shake and Bake also follows suit and grabs an IR stash. I don't quote me. I don't know if he's actually on the IR or NA right now in Yahoo, but regardless, he's going to stash him for November when Nichushkin's going to be back. Then we see 3 goalies go, probably the opposite order I would expect. So we go We see Dynasty take Stolers. Did he take Wall too? He did not. So he gets the supposed backup or half the split. Then we go Demko and Kemper. So Demko's consistently been one of the biggest, I guess, like sleepers or draft fallers that have been taken below their ADP for obvious reasons. We don't know really about his health. Vancouver just signed Kevin Lankinen for a year, so are they going to run 3 goalies and kind of nurse Demko back to health a little bit? Not sure, but I'm totally fine with him in the double-digit rounds. It's worth the risk. And then Kemper, who's one of FP's faves, so I think all 4 of us really like Kemper a lot. He's on a lot better team this year. We saw he's capable of taking teams to playoffs as he did in Arizona and even in Colorado. Petro and Lindholm, so 2 vets going lower than they should be. I'm a big Petro fan still. I know he's kind of in a timeshare now for minutes on D, but I like his category coverage. Darnell Nurse goes, also a good category coverage guy at the turn. Then we got Brian Rust, Skinner, Ekblad, Tom Wilson, and Jared McCann. McCann's a great pick. I'm all over him this year. He scored 30 goals last year and did it really, really quietly on Seattle because they kind of had a down year. So he did as well, but still 30 goals on a down year is good. Brock Nelson, who also the FP, we've tweeted about him a couple times as being slept on and just kind of so consistent, like pretty much a lock for 30 goals as long as he's healthy. All right, so Marty Party's up. He's only got 1 goalie. Getting jiggy with it. Has no goalies, and Datsuki and Deke also has no goalies. So I think I misspoke and said only 1 team didn't have a goalie yet. Looks like 2 guys do not yet. A couple with 1, which is fine at this point. Lots of value still available. All right, Wall 11-9, nice. Yeah, Wicked. He could again, kind of one of those guys we need to see a full season from. Do you think Celebrini hits 50 points this year? Yeah, 50 points definitely fair for Celebrini. He's got some young guys to kind of like compete with, and I think that's going to be really good for a young crew like that. They can have some fun, very, very low pressure. As I'm talking about Celebrini, he gets picked. We do have a 1-minute delay on here, guys, so don't worry. But yeah, he could probably hit 50, 60. I think the line for him on like FanDuel is about 54.5 for his over-under, so 50 is definitely doable. He's got like Will Smith, Eklund, guys that they can have some fun, just compete amongst each other. Tage Thompson, second round value. I play on ESPN. All rankings are way off. Do not look at ESPN value or rankings. Sorry, they are off. You are correct. If you want rankings, I would probably just use Yahoo's rankings and convert it to your scoring, or like take your scoring into account. Um, I'll have to also plug the Fantasy Puck Patreon. So we have lots of tools on there, regardless of your entry into the FPPL. Um, the Patreon's good for the trade analyzer. We got 500 plus player skater projections, but I think 60 plus goalie projections, player cards, category league sheet. So there's lots of goodies in there. Definitely recommend giving it a sub, even for a month, just kind of your draft period. Get you kind of caught up to speed on what your settings are. We got customizable projections for you. Nuke is going earlier and earlier. Great IR plus stash. I agree, Justin. He's great, especially because we know a due date for him. Right? It's pretty rare that we have a guy hurt or out. I shouldn't say hurt. A guy out, and we have a pretty much a due date for him. So it's November. Does zero G really work if everyone is doing zero G? Barry, that's a good point. I would say it works if everyone's doing it, because sooner or later they're gonna have to take them, right? So all it's really doing is shifting all the goalies from where you would normally take them and just moving the selections of them down. So if everyone's doing it, it's great. It looks like only two are really doing it here, kind of like two and a half if people are going one early and one really late. But I like it. It's I think the way to do it is a hybrid zero G. So you go zero G until it's stupid not to. So if guys like Ottinger were falling to the sixth round, you gotta scoop them up and kind of ignore your zero G plan. Yeah, Justin, ESPN rankings are goofy indeed. Jarvis or Fiala? I'm going to go Jarvis. I think he had a little bit of an inflated shooting percentage last year. So if he can give us another one at that inflated shooting percentage, maybe it doesn't become inflated anymore. Fiala over Jarvis. Wicked. Okay, so you like Fiala. It's not crazy to think that. I'm gonna say Jarvis, just because I think he's more of one of the guys there. Fiala's kind of, I think, taking a little bit of a back seat still. Zero G is basically not taking goalies early on. You want to keep your high draft picks with little to no risk. That's pretty much correct, Nick. As I said, hybrid zero G is kind of what we like to call it, or what we like to call the best way to do it. Having trouble in the second round, who to take, not feeling anyone in that range will probably reach down. Corporal, that's totally fine. It depends who you're reaching for. Obviously, there's usually some good D available, and we know how quickly that thins out. All right, let me get caught up here. So we see five centers go in round 13. Shifley, Hurdle, and Celebrini when we were talking about him. Then we see Ekholm go, followed by Quinton Byfield, who I very easily think could take over the 1C this year from Kopitar. I think they're using him on the wing a little bit, but he's played center before, so you know I like Byfield a lot this year. Want to see a little bit more peripheral improvement, but he's solid. Then we go UPL, so he goes in the 14th round to start. Blake Coleman, Philip Hronik, who is a kind of a handcuff to Quinn Hughes. So Hronik got a really good start to the year last year and kind of faded off because Vancouver was kind of correcting themselves a little bit. They were getting really, really lucky. But he's a fine handcuff. Quinn Hughes gets hurt. Who's going to be PP1D? Hronik. Kraus goes. Rasmus Anderson goes in the 14th. Love that pick. I also love the Trouba pick. So back-to-back great picks by Marty and Stack Attack. 2D that give you some good category coverage. Gonna play 20 plus minutes a night kind of thing. Like Trouba had one down year from being a literal banger's gem, and now we're taking him in the 14th round. So I love that. Binner goes 14-7. Kadri goes 14-8, who I think's hurt a little bit, but I'm not sure the severity of it. Tyler Toffoli, Mark Stone, Aiden Hill, and Patrick Laine. So Datsukian, not sure if you're watching, but you got to be careful of Laine. I saw him not on PP2 today. I think Mike pointed that out. So keep an eye on him. Not sure what his value is going to be like if he's not playing PP1, but 14th round, big deal. It's not that bad. Connor Ingram goes 15th, so I think that's Datsukin's first goalie. So he's going with the Utah goalie, Connor Ingram, who was kind of came out of nowhere to be fantasy relevant last year. Not sure how much I love it. That's like very, very zero G, but hey, he's probably got some guys that he really wanted and other people weren't taking because they were going with goalies. All right, so Trevor Moore, Kuzmenko, Giroux, and Cousins. Kuzmenko is kind of the one that jumps out to me here. I really like that pick in the 15th round, third last round. Um, Kuzmenko, when he got traded to Calgary, was almost a point per game player. It kind of like uh, rejuvenated him, I guess you could say. So I'm totally okay with that. He's got like 30, 40 goal upside on him. I think in his first year, I want to say he had 38 or 39. So we know he's got it in him. He's got to shoot a little bit more. He got a little lucky in his first year, but if we got kind of see like 250 shots from him, like we're talking about a guy who could score 35, 40 again. Claude Giroux, Cousins, Cam York goes. That's a great pick by Shake and Bake. He's had a couple good picks here with Ehlers, Nichushkin, York, kind of just lottery tickets that could pay off big time. Then we got Arvidsson by Stack Attack. Schmaltz goes 15-8. Drouin goes 15-9. Just trying to catch up with the comments here. And a 16-man keeper, cats, hits, and blocks league. Oh, that's a big league. I kept Seth Jones over Genther's thoughts. That's fine. I'm good with that. We know how shallow D can be. So Seth Jones is fine. Like you can go draft Genther. Probably no one's gonna reach on him. I'd love to see what the first round of a 16-man keeper looks like, especially if you're keeping Jones. That makes me think that you probably have some very deep rosters. Like what is it, 8 keepers maybe, Nicholas? Can't argue Fiala over Jarvis, just personal preference. That's totally fine. I know the Discord went through a phase last year where we loved Kevin F. I think FP Chris started it. We had an obsession with Kevin F, and actually he's an emoji in the Discord. A lot of people don't use it, but he's an emoji. If you go try and put an emoji in the Discord, he comes up his little player profile picture. Not gonna lie, I love Mike and Chris, but I think you might have favorite commentary on these drafts. Great analysis. Thank you, Jackson. That means a lot. I was a little nervous to come into this, to be honest, just given that Mike and Chris are vets at it. So I appreciate it. Keeping Seth Jones with those settings is justified. Yeah, I agree, Wicked. I agree. Is Boquist confirmed PP1 with Ekblad PP2? Just no, it's not confirmed. We've seen Boquist get some reps on PP1, which getting closer to the season, I think that kind of shows us what they're trying. I don't. I'm not probably going to take Boquist in many of my leagues just because we don't know what kind of upside he gives you for a full season. He's been hurt in Columbus, a little bit unhealthy, so um, he's one of those guys. He's got to prove it to me before I take him. But obviously, stay tuned on to FP. We'll keep you updated if we see any confirmation or any sort of hints from the coach. That's one thing that a lot of the coaches will kind of give you some hints like, oh, this guy's probably gonna get first crack on PP1. It's like, okay, great, he's PP1. Like we now know that for a fact. So those are kind of those little tidbits that you get from the beat writers from Twitter. Definitely recommend following some beat writers. FP guys all have their own style. I really like all three. FP Don's doing a great job. Thank you guys. You're making me blush. All right, so Tolvanen goes from Heisky. Have a Heisky takes Tolman in 15th round. He's a guy that could really pay off banger wise too. Like we talk about like the Trocheks and the Joel Eriksson X as being like the great category coverage guys. He's like a tier or two below them, but with some more play time, there was too many games last year that he was still getting like 14, 15 minutes a night. Um, Seattle runs their lines a lot, so he's going to really have to play into some more minutes. But I like Tolvanen. He offers some bangers upside, probably 100 hits, 100 plus hits. Kopitar goes, Stankoven. He's had some great shooting volume, so we were looking at. I'll just say it because we're getting late in the draft anyway. Cutter Gauthier had 12 shots last night in a overtime game against San Jose. So 12 shots. I think 8 high danger shot or individual high danger chances. So Cutter Gauthier is number 1 for shots right now, and Stank Oven's number 2 in the preseason. So he's shooting the puck a lot. They're not going in all the time, but I like the shot volume, and for a rookie, that just builds confidence that he's getting the puck on his stick and he's got the confidence to shoot there. Lekkonen's going. First pick in the 16th round. Also another stash. So no Fox is given. I like the stashes. He also had another one, I want to say. Or was that near him? Where did Nichushkin go? Oh, he had Landeskog. That's right. So he's got two Colorado stashes, which I like. Late pick. Like, if you don't like anyone, go with a stash. It's perfect. Evander Kane, another one. Not too sure about when he's going to be coming back, but if he does, like, that's a banger's gem right there. Gus Nyquist, I kind of a guy that I would have been telling people to fade, but they he had a little bit of an outlier year last year. I don't think he's going to get the same opportunities as he did last year. Now that they brought in Stammer, um, Marchessault, and Shea, just kind of took some puck time from him, took some time on ice from him on like a power play unit or something. Neil Pionk, Malkin goes in the 16th round. I love that pick. Marty Party's had a pretty good draft. I like a lot of his late picks here. Anderson, Shifley, Malkin. Drew Doughty goes by Stack Attack, so he's hoping for a quick return. Maybe before Christmas would be great. Ricard Raquel, I think just going back to Doughty, I'm pretty sure he's month to month right now. Ricard Raquel goes PP1 right now. That is a pretty good pick in the second last round. Philip Gustafson. So Dynasty he takes his third goalie. He's got Kochikov, Stallers, and Gustafson. So three guys that might split kind of 50-50 ish. But between the three of them, he's going to get two starts kind of routinely. Sean Dursey, Ben, Tristan Jari, great pick by Jiggy. So he goes 0G, goes Hill and Jari. Joey Decord is Datsukian's 0G second goalie, so he takes Ingram and Decord. A little shaky with the teams. I don't love Utah or Seattle this year, but they're probably going to get the majority of the crease time with their two teams. So we'll see how that pans out for him. And then he takes Pierre-Luc Dubois. I want to say it's the first time I've seen Dubois picked in the FPPL so far, but we're keeping track of all the picks from all the leagues. After the 12 leagues have drafted, we'll hit you with a bunch of data, maybe some ADP comparisons. Zetterland, I love Zetterland. I think he can break out this year even more than he did already. 25 goal upside can give you 100 hits and lots of shots. Lindgren is Plosiv's third goalie, so he's got Hellebuck, Kemper, and Lindgren. Troy Terry goes Cutter Gauthier. So I did mention him. I want to say Dynasty's either in the stream listening to me or he's looking at the preseason stats. So Gautier's a great pick there. Probably becomes um, one of the bigger sleeper candidates given what we've seen in preseason. All right, so everyone takes their last goalies now in this. Here we got Mrazek, Montembeau, and Wolf. I love the Wolf pick the most. Again, Marty Party. He's had a great second half of the draft, I think. Montembeau's interesting because I think Primo had a very good second half. So I'm interested to see how that Montreal duo pans out. I think it'll be close to 50-50, if I'm being honest. We got Matt Nyes put on, I want to say 12 pounds this year. So I think the Leafs are expecting big things from him. Zaka, Samsonov. So Ryan's rad team takes his third goalie as well after going with vet. Okay, so Luke Hughes is the exception, but he went a lot of vets too. Takes the reliable guys. And last pick, I don't even know who it is. How do I see that? Hmm. Okay, well, that's it for the Atlantic draft. We have the Central coming up now. That's the other logo you see down there in the scoring box. So I'm gonna flip over to the Central draft at 8:30. That's when that one starts. We finished this one in about an hour, which is great. We whipped through it. So if you guys want to take a break, go to the washroom, grab a snack, come back at 8:30. I'm gonna probably just pause the stream. I'll be back at around 8:30 and keep answering your questions until that. So don't go far. We'll be back at 8:30. Um, I like your commentary, Don. Even with the 1 minute delay, I think Mike influences the draft a bit. That's probably true. That's probably true. People take it. People take his words um, very like the gospel. So take it very seriously. FP Don, don't be nervous. You're natural. FP Sven was supposed to go yesterday. He had some issues with the setup, so I think he's gonna go Saturday. I think that's the plan right now. So if you're drafting tomorrow, I'm gonna check who is drafting tomorrow. It is the Metro Div 4 Metro at 7 p.m. So that'll be Noah or Sven, whatever you want to call him. Meyer Zib in a league with plus minus and no hits. Oh, I gotta go Zib in that case. So no hits and plus minus. So Meyer had it was like a minus 28 last year, which is not great. Should be a little bit better and maybe closer to even this year. But with no hits, that's one of the things Meyer brings to the table that makes him like an FP favorite and a gem. So I'd go Zib with those settings. In a normal Bangers League or FPPL settings, I'll take Meyer. 5v5 Nyquist still with Forsberg and O'Reilly. Okay, that's good to know. As I said, I think they kind of overperformed a little bit. Like Ryan O'Reilly, too, kind of came back to life after being kind of fantasy irrelevant for a little bit. But if Nyquist has another good year, I'm totally okay with it. He's kind of like a Granlund, though, where he's a pass first guy, so doesn't get you those 6 points for the goal. What are your thoughts on Dustin Wolf? Matt Catalano. I like Wolf a lot, as I said, as a third goalie. So there's the tiers of the third goalies. We saw a couple go off the board here that should start, like Jari, Gustafson, Wolf. Tarasov didn't go, but he's another one. Even like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Wolves had a good preseason as well. A lot of people a little hesitant on Calgary this year. I don't know what to think of them either, just because they did kind of lose a couple guys. I think they were kind of entering a semi rebuild. But one thing I read about Wolf is that he's performed at every level. So we're like, who are we to think that he can't do it again at the NHL? It might not be this year. It might be in a couple of years. He's still young, but every level he's performed at and been a stud. Like just look at his AHL numbers. Who's the last goalie who is the last goalie pick? Sorokin? Um, Not sure really what you mean, Justin. If you're looking at this last pick, I'm not sure. I don't even know how to check it. I'm gonna probably just exit out of the draft and go into the draft recap to see who this last pick is, because it still just says on the clock. I don't know how to check. Um, it was not Sorokin though. Sorokin went early. He went 8-4. Name drop. Nice one. Yeah. Sven's alias. That's fair. FP Don on Nyquist and Meyer and Zib takes. Yeah. Yeah. Normally Meyer over Zib, but no hits and plus minus. I got to go with the Ranger guy. All right. Let me back out of this draft. I'm going to go to the draft recap here. See if I can get the results and see who this last pick was. It wasn't Dubois. Oh, that was Datsuki and Deeks. All right, let's see here. It was Fantilli. All right, so no Fox given, took Fantilli. Yes, you're correct, Wicked. The last goalie taken was Samsonov by Ryan's Rad team, and then Fantilli went last. So nice kind of lottery ticket pick. All right. All right, so I'm going to hop over to the Central, who is drafting at 8:30. I can get into the draft room at least. Get an edge with Yahoo Fantasy Plus. Do any of you guys in the stream have Yahoo Fantasy Plus? We were looking to get it this year just because it makes hosting multiple leagues easier, but we cannot get it in Ontario. I don't know if it was Canada wide or Ontario. We were even like on chat with customer support with Yahoo to see if it was possible because we wanted to make it easier on ourselves, but they don't offer it. So we were not able to get it in Ontario. But I think if you're in the States or elsewhere, you can get it. All right, I'm gonna hide the Q there. Don't look at that. It's all big name D anyways. All right. All right, so about 20 minutes until draft time. As I said, feel free to have a break. I'm gonna definitely have some water. and be back for 8:30. If you got any questions, fire away. I've got nothing to do. I've got the ball game on, the Jays game on in the background. They're currently down 6-0 to the Marlins of all teams, but they here had a double, so 6-1 now. All right, got to remind the Central Division. Oh, I gotcha. I was covering Samsonov. Okay, you saw Ilya S probably, and you didn't know who it was. Gotcha. All right, my bad. Yes, it was Samsonov. All right, St. Louis Goofy, good to see you in here. I stashed Lekanen and Mintikov. Aren't they supposed to be ready for the start of the season? If so, is it even worth picking up other guys? I don't think Lekanen's supposed to be ready for the season. I know he had off-season surgery, and I have not heard anything about him playing preseason. So I assume if he's going to play early, they're going to want to get him some reps. So I would anticipate a little bit into the season, maybe October timeframe. Minchikov, I have not actually heard an update on either. So I've pretty haven't followed Anaheim too much except for Cutter because of last night Gauthier and um, Zellweger because I think he's going to be PP1. If you have a bangers league and want to keep Minty, you can, but you can also feel free to drop him and pick someone up if like Brant Clark or Boakfist, someone like that is available. I've heard Hronik is in amazing shape. Love the value in round 14. That's a good. I like that comment, Nick. If you have heard stuff like that, I always like to hear like guys who have made like physical changes, gained weight, lost weight if they needed to, just kind of got themselves in a better shape. Shows some commitment that they have. So that's good to hear. I mean, he's still going to be roadblocked by Quinn Hughes, but as I said, he could be a really good like Devin Tays like kind of player. That's a number 2 on a team. I'm in a keeper league where I've kept Kaprizov, B. Kachuk, and Hyman. What should I target early? Well, it sounds to me probably like a D. So 3 keeper league. I'd assume guy like the big names have gone. Maybe someone didn't keep like Hedman. You could keep Hedman if he's available. I'd probably have to have a look at who's available to see specifically. Don't know how many teams are in your league either. But those are 3 really good keepers. It's like you're off to a great start. In Ontario as well, we have the same issue. I think province wide we can't. Yeah, I guess that's the case for Yahoo. They gotta look to expand that. I'd assume fantasy hockey specifically, Ontario's got to be one of like the hotbeds for it. So they got to look to expand into that. I think it has to do with just like the gambling and betting laws that we have here. So I stashed. All right, yeah, I answered that. Lekanen, as I said. Definitely minty if you want to drop, you can. Which teams do you think are top 3 from the last draft? Yeah, I guess I can have a look. Where's your favorite spot to draft this year? 1, 6, 12. All things hockey. It's a good question. In a 12-man league, I probably like 10 to 12 just because you kind of can get those turn picks. You're not kind of like waiting after your first pick to pick forever. You do have to wait a little bit, but something like 10 or 11 would probably be ideal for me. 6 is as you can maybe get dry. Yeah, that's a good point too. That's a good way to look at it. I mean, technically you don't know that dry is going to be available at 6, but if he is, like that's kind of a reason to really like 6. Trade Barkov for Boldy. I probably wouldn't unless you have a really, really deep center core. So if you have a lot of centers and you don't need Barkov, I'd probably try and get Boldy plus for him. All right, so someone wanted to see the top 3 teams. I can do that. Let me go back to um, the Atlantic. Just going to go to draft results. as I mentioned, we're gonna kind of copy all this info into Google Sheets, into Excel. So we'll share it with you guys. Just be sure you're in the Discord. That's probably where we're gonna share a lot of our info. Just kind of like tomorrow, we'll post top five steals and top five reaches in the league specific chat. We've done that so far for all the other drafts, and we'll do that again. All right, you'll have to give me a little bit of time to look. I think Marty Party had one I liked. Yeah, this is probably going to be my favorite. Not huge on the Besser pick and not huge on the Shea pick at 12, but um, Besser's kind of like a Horvat where I think you're pretty safe with 30 goals. But Besser was picked 80th overall, while Horvat I think was closer to like 100 or even later. Yeah, Horvat was 118 by Plosive. So, yeah, Besser I don't love, but Marty Party's definitely got one of my top three. Looking into some of the other teams here. No Fox given. Coincidentally, the 12th pick, which was just asked, where I like to pick. I like this team a lot. Kaprizov Yossi start is probably one of the better ones that you could ask for in fantasy in a 12-man league. And then he went Meyer, Johnston, Zib, Otter in the 6th round is great. Hagel, Sanderson. Took a couple stashes that maybe I wouldn't have done that early. Like I don't really know what we're gonna get from Landeskog when he even does come back. Byfield, I'm big on. He took UPL with his second goalie, which is totally fine. And then he got some young guys with Stankoven and Fantilli. So no Fox Givens in my top three. Let's see. I think I like Shake and Bake. So hard. This is a good draft. It's a good draft. Nothing absurd. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Shake and Bake as the last one. I like the Frankie V pick. I like the John Carlson as your D3. Like that's a great decor. Darlene, Hamilton, and Carlson. He got Paterka, which is a fan favorite now. Ehlers, hopefully for a breakout. He did his work on his stashes too with Nichushkin, and he got some late round value with PP1. York, Raquel. Um, the goalies, he took Mrazek last, which I probably wouldn't have bothered doing, but he already had Bennington and Stuart Skinner, which is a really good 1-2 punch. So that's probably my top three. I'm good with looking at a couple other teams if you guys are in it and want me to kind of look through your team, but just let me know. Am I picking DeBrincat before Raymond? Probably. I think I would. My issue with Raymond, and this is kind of what I was talking about, where I have some beef ongoing with FP Chris, is Raymond was really streaky last year, and I'm saying that because and not like DeBrincat wasn't, because he was streaky and bad towards the end of the year. But Raymond would just have some games where he did nothing, like nothing peripheral wise, would just be like zeros across the board, putting up like Tony Snell stat lines, if anyone gets that reference. So I'd probably take DeBrincat before Raymond, but it's really close. Like in a keeper, I could definitely argue Raymond over DeBrincat just because of the age. Couple messages deleted here. Not sure what those said. Muiz, thoughts on Bouchard versus Darlene for the following settings? 5.5. All right, how about we put this into the projections? It gives you guys a little bit of a sneak peek on this too, if you don't have access to it already. So 5.5 for goals, 3.5 for assists, defense 0.75. I don't know what that means. I think it's a defense gets a boost of 0.75. Power play points 0.25. We're arguing about 2Ds, so it's kind of indifferent whatever their bonus is. And then 0.4 for pretty much all the other main categories. 0.4, blocks 0.4. So this is kind of what you get with with the customizable scoring, guys. If you're not familiar with it, I know that it's kind of cut off on your screen, but you pretty much get just input your stats. It's gonna churn it out in the fantasy points column here. So let's have a look and see which D is projected better. Oh, sorry, I sorted it. I didn't select it. So Makar, Yossi, Bouchard, Deline. So they're actually back to back, and they're separated by 16 fantasy points. So very, very close. I would say Bouchard's probably your guy if you're gonna take peripherals like the hits and blocks later on. I would go with Bouchard because he's got the point upside, the power play point upside that Darlene is slightly lesser in. If you are a little worried about your hits and blocks, Darlene's perfectly fine too. So, yeah, that's a good example of one we can look at. Okay, I live in Arizona as a bitter Yotes fan. Kent there will be a stud. He has a lethal wrist shot. Yeah, I've seen a couple of his shots, especially towards the end of last season. He kind of was heating up for a little bit, so hopefully he can continue it into this year. Bedard is bulked up this season. Line 2 and PP1. Oh, similar to Bedard, he bulked up. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, PP1 definitely. If they're not putting him on PP1, then they have some problems. But that's good to hear. As I said, I love those kind of like intangibles that aren't really stat and number related. If a guy bulked up, I think it kind of comes from my love for fantasy baseball. So pretty much particularly FP Mike and Sven, we all do a lot of fantasy baseball as well, and we love the kind of mechanical changes that guys can make. So batter makes a tweak with his hands of where he's batting. That can have a huge impact on your season, and then like you can kind of reap the rewards fantasy wise. So that's kind of where I think those come from for my interest in that. All right, so just past the 10-minute mark, I think someone in the central chat was asking for a reminder. I gave him a 20-minute reminder. I guess I'll give him a 10-minute reminder too. All right. Don't think we're gonna see anything crazy with the first round here, but I'll keep the Atlantic tab open just so we can kind of compare the first round at least. I think once you kind of get past even past pick 3, it becomes just a preference, personal preference. Hope everyone's having a good night. I am glad to be here. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream. It helps us out a lot. Helps us grow as a brand. Give you guys more content. Give you guys more resources, more tools. Muiz picking 13 and 14. Would you recommend securing Yossi at 13, then taking a Faller forward at 16, round 2? Or taking Mac, Chuck, Kaprizov, Hughes at 13, then okay, so you're picking 13 and 16, I guess. Um, that's tough. I would probably if one of those forwards fall like Kachuk, Kaprizov to 13, I would probably take them before I went to Yossi at 13 because as you said, the odds that both Yossi, Bouchard, and Deline are gone at 16 is slim. So if you either of those three were your D1, that's totally fine. All right, 7.5 minutes until draft time, guys. Got one more to go tonight, and then we got two. We got a couple coming up on the weekend. I think it's two. I can actually double check that too. Two on Saturday, two on Sunday. It's gonna be a good weekend. Good weekend of fantasy. I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing drafts outside of FPPL too, and this is kind of the weekend to do it. Hey Don, would you mind if I send you some questions on Discord? Also, is there any chance you could give me a quick thought on how my draft went on stream? Yeah, sure. Were you in the last draft, St. Louis Goofy? I'm not sure if I recognized your name here, unless you named yourself something else. Yeah, I can. If you picked, you can definitely. I'll give you a little review, and yeah, you guys can send me messages anytime on Discord. So I check periodically throughout the day. Like all four of the FP guys, we all got full time jobs that we do as well. So if I don't respond right away, I'm probably at work. But I definitely check throughout the day. Just don't tell my boss. Do you know when we get draft order for the FP Metro? Yeah, so all of the draft orders are coming up approximately 24 hours before your draft. So we did that with the first one, and we were talking about releasing them earlier to give you guys more time to practice and know your pick. But we wanted to keep it consistent and fair for everybody, so we didn't want to give one league. 24 hours and the other league like 72 hours or something. So yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it about check the Discord and check your league channel about a day before your draft. Awesome job and commentary. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. It's going well so far. No issues, no technical issues, which is what I always worry about. So good to hear. It's going well. All right, 5 minutes. 5 minutes until draft time. We got everybody in here. That's great. No last minute joiners. Everybody's in the draft lobby, so not going to be any auto drafters as we try and avoid in the FPPL. That's kind of one of the things we strive for is no auto drafters, minimizing the inactiveness. I get we all maybe go on vacation for a week or miss a day of setting our lineups, but we try and keep an eye on it. Um, St. Louis Goofies from Div 2 East. Same with myself. DMs are totally fine. Yeah, if you want to shoot me a DM on Discord, I'll have a look at your draft, Goofy. I got 4 minutes. I probably got some time to go. Sure. Div 2 East. Thank you for that, Wicked. I wouldn't have known. I gotta log out of this one. Yeah, this is why we wanted the Yahoo Premium. So I don't want to log out and risk not being able to log back in. So I will. I'll review it either after the draft if you send it, or in Discord. St. Louis Goofy. Is there another draft happening, Muiz? Yeah. We got Div 4 Central coming up in 3 minutes. We did a back to back draft tonight, so a couple Div 4 drafts happening, Atlantic and Central. We just wrapped up the Atlantic at 8, and now we got the Central. So definitely tune in. Tell your friends, tune in. Drop a like too. Just having a look at the draft board. I'll present the draft here. Odds in my favor. That's a pretty good team name. I have not heard that yet, so that's a good one. Smart a hose. Pearl Arbor. Senior. Senior Matthews. Aurora Borealis. Matthews' little mustache. He does have a nice little one. Tiger Cats. Recognize that name from the Discord. Joseph Swell Team. Baby Sharks. Mamma Mia. Bettman's Boogeyman. And Potato Sacker, which I also recognize from the Discord. Potato Sacker. Potato. So odds in my favor got first pick. Anyone get the draft board of the last draft? Oh, I forgot. Chris and Sven are probably gonna kill me, but we'll get that later. I sent it to you on Discord. Thank you, St. Louis Goofy. I'll have a look at it after this stream. 2-minute warning for the draft. It's happening in 2 minutes. Let me get this mic out of the way. All right, yeah, I probably won't have time, St. Louis, to get to the draft. We're picking in a minute, so I don't want to have issues logging back in. How's everyone's fantasy leagues going? Have you guys done your drafts for your other leagues outside of FPPL, or are you only in FPPL? How's everybody doing on those? All right, 30 seconds here. Hopefully everyone's ready. Div 4 Central about to start. Odds in my favor with the first pick, and the odds are in his favor. Oh, let me turn that off. God, hopefully that you guys can't hear that. That's loud. All right, Connor McDavid first overall, no surprise. McKinnon goes 2. I think that was the same. Yes, it was. I'm assuming Matthews goes here, which he does. So same 3, no surprises. Pasta goes 4. These guys had the benefit of looking at a draft just before and getting some takes and opinions, so maybe we'll see them come into play here. Justin did an 18-man draft last week. Total nightmare. 18 teams sounds like a little bit too much for my liking. I do like getting into like the really, really deep players, but 18 is a lot. I can't imagine what your last round picks looked like. Got my draft next Wednesday. Super stoked. Got myself like 2 and 3 sleepers this year. Hoping I can take it. Finished second last year. Next stop is first, Matt. So Pasta, Kucherov, Matthew's little mustache is up now. I raked my draft hard, 250 buy-in, and I ended up with Kachuk brothers and Kirill. Wow, that's a great draft, Mark. 250 buy-in is also insane. So good on you. You need a really good team if you're doing that. No rebuild years. Okay. Quinn Hughes. I assume that was probably an auto pick by Matthew's little mustache. Not a big fan of that. I don't know if he really likes Hughes or what, but it is an 8-man. Okay, it's an 8-man league. That makes a little bit more sense to get those 3, but still, it's a good team. Quiet for me, can barely hear you, loosey goosey. All right, I'll try and move my mic a little bit closer. Hopefully, it's not too bad. I did fiddle around with the settings a little bit in between the 2 drafts, but I'll just speak loud. All right, so after that Hughes pick, we see Leon and Brady Kachuk go. Mikko Rantanen follows. And then Kale McCarr, Matt Kachuk, and Hughes rounds out the top the first round. So Potato Sacker goes Hughes, Kaprizov at the back-to-back turn, and then we get Yossi go, which should have been the second D off the league, but it's actually the third off the board. Sorry. I think I'm in 5 or 6. I got one that I run tomorrow, and then another Sunday. Oh, you got a busy weekend too, St. Louis. I usually do about 4 or 5. I think there's been some years where I'm in like 6 or 7. It just becomes a lot to handle, especially with the FP leagues. 12-man league draft next Sunday. Would love to join FPPL next season. Justin, yeah, you got to get in. We got the wait list going for next year, so fill out that form um, on the website, and you'll get in. You'll get a spot for next year. All right, yeah. So you guys are just seeing the Quinn Hughes one now. The chat is. I don't really know what's going on with that. I'm gonna probably back out of the league because someone said the commissioner thing is messing him up. I think. I don't think it should be because we're viewing it as like a viewer pretty much. But I'll back out and see if that helps anything and go back in. Oh, I'm still in the Atlantic. Sorry, guys. I don't think it should be because we've run like 4 or 5 smooth ones without any issue. But we do have to kind of like view it as oh, I can just present draft there. Let's see if that works. Take those off. Okay. I'm not liking what the chat's seen. Matthew, if you're in this, I think it was a mistake. Um, Connect with us after this if it was something where you couldn't draft. I think you should be okay now because Panarin looks like a normal pick at that spot. But if it was a mistake or something where you couldn't pick, let us know. I think it should be fixed now. But regardless, that's not fair if you weren't able to pick. I got a glimpse of the chat. I don't want to keep reading it, but all right. Anyways, moving on. Kaprizov started the second round. Then we saw Yossi, JT Miller, Braden Point. Mark said Point's a little too early. I agree. It's probably a little too early. Willie Nylander goes Evan Bouchard. So that's D4 off the board. And then Matthews takes Panarin. J Rob goes EP at 2-9. I like that a lot. I think I probably like him a little bit more than J Rob. But yeah. So Pearl Harbor's up now. That's also a good, funny name. If Matthew's little mustache, I don't know if you're watching the stream. If you are, just shoot something in the chat and let me know if it's okay. Not really sure. I didn't really do anything different with how I entered the central draft. Maybe it's an issue of who enters first, but I think, as I said, Panarin looks pretty normal at 2-7. So hopefully you're back to normal. I agree. Panarin, Quinn Hughes, there could be worse starts. There could be worse starts with auto draft. But yeah, we'll touch base Matthew's little mustache after. Hopefully, it doesn't ruin the league and the season for you. I don't think it will. Mitch Marner, Darlene goes, um, followed by odds in my favor with the pick at the turn, and he takes Hedman. So that pretty much makes sense. Nothing too crazy. We saw the D we expected to go in the first 2 rounds, and odds in my favor gets the turn pick here. He went McDavid Hedman. Agree. At least it wasn't Luke. Yes, I agree. So I guess that's the benefit of having guys in your queue. So I don't know if it. I don't know if it had to do with who entered the draft first because there was a queue already set when I came in. I think I had to. I had to hide that in the chat. I don't know. I'll connect with the FP guys after and see what was up with that. And yeah, as I mentioned, I feel bad because I wouldn't want to pick Quinn Hughes first, but I agree it's not the worst start. So Forsberg goes round three, first pick. That's a pretty good start. Like you got a couple category or a couple positions covered. McDavid, Hedman, Forsberg. I'm liking odds in my favors team. Dobson goes 3-2. So that's kind of into the second tier of D now in the third round. PD passed a nice start. Yep, I agree. That's a good pick. I like PD at 2-9. I also like Mamma Mia so far. Kale McCarr, JT Miller. Um, Lots of banger coverage with JT Miller in the second round. So Zach Hyman goes 3-3, taking the goal upside. Hopefully another 40 goals is doable. A lot of people said it was kind of a fluky season for Hyman last year, but he delivered in playoffs too. Like you look at his stat line in playoffs, and it's just as good as the regular season. Timmy Stu goes at 3-4. Hoping for a bounce back there. I want to say that was a little bit earlier than the last draft, earlier at 7. Aurora Borealis on the clock now. Started with Winger, chicken dinner. Okay, so Aurora goes Sam Reinhart. So we see Hyman and Reinhart go back to back or close to back picks. So you know, kind of two regression candidates, but third round is definitely fair for both of them. Regardless of regression, they're both getting 30. They're both probably gonna stay on power play one, some of the top lines. So no issue with the regression worry. Timo Meyer goes 3-6 to Matthews. I'm gonna assume he's back on track now with the picks. I don't think there's any issues now. That's a pretty reasonable pick. I hope he is happy with Meyer. Point went a little higher, but don't mind it too much. He has a very safe floor. I agree. He's got kind of like 30 goal, 90 point floor and kind of projection, I want to say. So we did see Tampa lose a couple key guys this year, like Stamkos and Sergachev, but they're still an elite team and should qualify for playoffs without an issue. Point over Willie and Miller likely. I don't know about that. I think I'd take Willie and Miller over Point, but um, yeah, I mean Tampa's probably the best team out of the two of them. Stutzel 3-4, interesting. I agree. I think 3-4 is a little bit earlier than he went in the Central. I'll pop over to the Central in a sec. Okay, so Trocheck goes really early. He goes 3-8 to Joseph Swell team. Not too sure about that, especially just because of the pure center. That is a little bit early for him, but he is a category monster. Sebastian Aho goes, followed by PP Merchant Stamkos. Igor is the first goalie off the board again, which is good. And Potato Sacker follows up with back-to-back centers. So Crosby Bedard, he's got centers covered because he took Hughes first overall, or sorry, first round. So he's got three centers now. Svechnikov goes 4-2, followed by Adam Fox. Mamma Mia is the first guy to take 2D, so he's got Makar and Fox. So loading up on the D as a lot of people are doing this year. Baby Sharks takes his first D with Morrissey. Joseph Swell team goes with Sider. So D are flying off the board now. We might see a little bit of a run here. Morrissey, Sider gone. Who else are we looking at here? So Carlson will probably be going soon. John, that is. Points assist could get a bump with 5-on-5 Gensel as well. That's a good point, Luke. I agree with that. I think like the 60 kind of assist range is what we're looking at for Point, assuming he's healthy with a good year. So he also had, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, he had that really good playoffs year. I think he led the playoffs in points, and I took him the following year, and he was okay. He wasn't that playoff point that we saw, but he was still really reliable and really safe. Thoughts on Stutzla, Thompson, Meyer in this league? Um, so I think the Timmy Stu pick is a little bit high. I like Meyer in this league because of the hits. So I've seen a couple people talking about Meyer, and we talk about him a lot in the Discord, on Twitter and YouTube. Um, I like Meyer, but it's got to be a league without plus minus and with hits. So that's kind of what he brings to the table that makes him like kind of like a JT Miller esque player where he hits as well. So you get the offensive upside, the shot on goal upside, and the hits. Rank the three of them. I will say in FPPL settings, I'm gonna go Tage, Meyer, Stu. Vinny way early. I agree, Mark. It was a little early. Hughes center left wing. Yep. So that's a good point. He's got the coverage at center, regardless. So there goes Jeek after Mo Sider. Tage goes 4-7. That's a good pick in the fourth round. Dougie, Barkov, Uyghur goes as Mark says it. So that's a good call. The second D off the board for Pearl Harbor. He goes Darlene and Uyghur as his 2D, which is a very good 1-2 punch. Smart Ahos is on the clock. He takes McAvoy, so that's Fenn's boy, McAvoy. Faber's got the turn here. Only one goalie so far through 4 rounds, pretty much, unless Faber goes with the rainbow and goes with one of each position. He's gonna take a right winger or a goalie here. Guessing Tage goes this round. Yep, you guessed right, Justin. Went to Matthews, little mustache. As a real salt. I know. He's kind of a sleeper pick now, Luke. Matthews' little mustache is where you got to be putting your money. All right, so Gensel goes. So Faber takes Gensel, which is a solid pick at the end of the fourth round. He does not go for the color rainbow and takes another left winger, but he's got the turn pick here. And he goes Zib with the 5-1 pick, which is totally fine. So Zib again, one of those guys that was used to be like a third, fourth round pick, was kind of now has been falling to like 6, 7. He's still like 25 power play point lock. Plays the first line, plays with some really good wingers and lineys. So definitely don't mind Zib in the fifth round. So Smart Ahos, he's got 2D as well. I assume he's going with a forward here, given that he's gone Dobson McAvoy. And he goes 3D. Okay, so he takes Carlson. So he's definitely not playing around with his defense. Probably trusts his knowledge with the later picks with the forwards. There's a lot of them, so rightfully so. Ovi goes 5-3, so that's a little bit more reasonable. I think Ovi went at the tail of the third round last draft. That's a little high for him. And then we see Saros go second goalie off the board, so that's kind of surprising. Usually Hellebuck goes second, but Saros is totally fine. He's usually like third or fourth. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the second of 2 drafts tonight. We had the FPPL Atlantic Division draft at 7, and now we got the Central. If you're just tuning in, don't forget to drop a like, follow our socials, right? We're on pretty much all the social medias you guys could want. Twitter, we're really active on. I maintain that pretty much daily. And we're on Instagram, TikTok, so check it out. We post periodically there, especially some graphics from that we've kind of improved upon this year. Shout out to DDH Jake, who's in the Discord. He does a great job with a lot of our graphics. All right, so Hellebuck goes. As I said, that was probably who I thought would go second in the goalie category, but totally fine as number 3. Wiz, is it a risk taking Hamilton since Jack Hughes is probably going to make sure Luke is back on the power play once he's healthy? I never thought of it like that. I don't think Jack Hughes is going anywhere if they don't treat Luke too well. I think they're going to probably go with the player on power play that gives them the best chance to win. So I think a healthy Dougie is that. They might have kind of been forced to play Luke on power play last year when Dougie was hurt. Maybe before they thought he was ready. So if Dougie doesn't give them a reason to take him off PP1, I don't think they will. But I never thought of the Jack Hughes take. He probably has more pull than I'm thinking he does. Great recovery after Q Hughes pick. I agree. It goes Tage Kempe. He either had the best Q in the world to get this set up, or he's back picking normal. So I'm gonna take the latter. Gensel, what a steal! I agree. Gensel at 412 is pretty good. We kind of see like a fresh start from Gensel. Like we know he's got a pretty safe floor, but we maybe are going to see 100 points from him this year. I like the Zib pick. PP Merchant. Yep, I agree. 25 power play points is pretty much a guarantee. Odds in my favor, looking dangerous. Yes, this is a really good team. I like it so far. I could probably have used another D, but no issues. There's lots available. All right, so fifth round was kind of the round of the goalies here. We still got two more picks, but we've seen four goalies go: Saros, Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Bobrovsky. So Ottinger goes fifth round. He went sixth last round, so a little bit higher here, but that's probably more fair. Bob goes after Ottinger, and in between the goalies, we had Kempe go to Little Mustache, and Tiger Cats took Morgan Riley. So kind of going with the offensive-minded defense for Tiger Cats. He's got Bouchard and Morgan Riley. Seth Jarvis goes to Mamma Mia, so he's got his third center as well. Bettman takes Brandon Montour a little bit early. As I said, I'm a little skeptical, hesitant with the Seattle defense, just because there's Dunn and Montour there, and from my understanding, Dunn's been getting the PP1 reps right now, but Montour, we saw what he could do in Florida, so he's no joke. Regardless, he's a good second defenseman for Bettman. Vasilevsky, so five goalies go in that fifth round because Potato Sacker grabs Vass with his turn pick, and then he goes to Clayton Keller, so got the dual winger. Just for Bratt, and then we got another goalie going, Ilya Sorokin. So if you're not punting goalies or doing the 0G, the fifth, sixth round kind of seems to be where you're going to be needing to take one. Keep that in mind for future drafts that any of you guys doing. All right, Baby Sharks goes Verhage. Solid pick. I believe it's a contract year for Verhage. So I always like to kind of look at see what guys are in contract years. We did make a tweet about it a few weeks ago, so check it out. Especially the RFAs that are looking to kind of get that big 8-year, $8 million contract rather than a shorter bridge deal. So Verhage, I think, is going to be UFA, not RFA, but still, those contract year guys, they can sometimes become a different player. So Joe's swell team, he takes Fiala. That's his first left winger. So that's good to see. He's got 1D only so far. I think there's only... So there's two teams left without a D. That would be Senior Matthews and Potato Sacker. They're kind of punting the D that I guess they see going really early in the FPPLs. So Stuart Skinner goes to Tiger Cats in the sixth round. That is kind of on par with where he's going. I like Skinner. Kind of like Ottinger, he's got a good shot as anyone to lead the league in wins. Like we have him projected, I think, for third in the 30s. I want to say like 35, but give him a couple extras and he could touch 40, as could Ottinger. Matthews takes Swayman, so don't love the Swayman pick, as I said, because he's unsigned. But if he was signed, he would probably be going right around where like Bob is going, rather than Bob going there. So he probably got him around early, which is good. Cole Caulfield goes 6'8". Miro Heiskanen goes 6'9" to Senior Matthews. That's his first D. So he takes Miro Heiskanen first D. Good PP1 D, kind of like a Morgan Riley, where he doesn't quite have the peripherals that you might want from your first D. He's not like a Darlene or anything. He used to hit a little bit more when he was younger, I want to say. I think I was looking at him last year because I had him on one of my teams, and his hit totals kind of dropped off a little bit. There we see Boldy go to Pearl Harbor at 6'10". So he's got three left wingers now. He went OV, Boldy, and Hyman. There is doesn't appear to be any Sams in this draft taking the old folks, the senior citizens. So no source of entertainment in there. I'm high on Seattle. Yeah, I don't know what to think about Seattle. Like, I think they need their forwards to kind of the top six forwards need to step up as top six forwards. So whoever it might be, the rotating the lines and running the four lines only works for so long. I think like Beniers had a down year. He's not even getting drafted right now, and he's probably going to be like in their well, he's going to be in their top six, probably on their PP1 as well. Looks like they're going to need him to kind of take that role, take that leadership role, and lead by example on the ice if they want to do anything. Decord looks like he's going to be in nets for a majority of them. Grubauer probably can't be trusted really. But yeah, I'm interested to see in Seattle. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I've been wrong before. No Boldy yet. Wiz, you called it. He went about 2 or 3 picks ago at 6'10". Connor falling hard, 35 goals, 80 points. That's a good call out, Mark. Okay, so there's Wyatt in the round 7. I was waiting for him to go. He goes to odds in my favor, who's having a really good draft. I like his team so far. He goes Sergachev and then Wyatt in the 7th. As I said in the past draft, he's got 40 goal upside. For those of you that weren't listening, like in playoff time when the games mattered, they gave him the minutes he deserved. He was playing 20 minutes a night, so that clearly shows like when they need to win games, they're putting Johnston on. So I'm a big Wyatt fan. Chris Kreider goes 7-2, also a very safe pick, 35 goals, probably a lock. Scratch that Connor went, didn't notice, my bad. Kyle Connor, where did he go? Are you saying, I don't know if you're saying Connor Bedard or Kyle Connor. I don't think Kyle Connor's gone. Might be blind, but I don't see him. Connor Bedard went. Oh, Kyle Connor did go. He went 3-7. I'm off. All right, so after Kreider, we see Tippett, who also used to be an FP fave, kind of joined the Jeeks and the Trocheks as being kind of found out and realized about his value. Jake Sanderson goes to Senior Matthews, so he goes back-to-back Ds, back-to-back PP1D with Heisk and Sanderson. We got Aurora on the clock. Sam, legend, yes. Sam is notorious. I think we might have to give out like a Sam award this year for like the guy who adds the oldest players or drafts the oldest players going forward. I'm not high on Besser, but this contract year might be interesting. Okay, so good call, Justin. I like that. I didn't remember that Besser was in a contract year, but as I was saying with Verhage, those contract year guys, like they step it up, maybe take it to an extra level, play through some injuries, maybe that they wouldn't be playing through otherwise because they want to get that production up. Eichel at 6-1, what a steal. Went super late. All right, so back to back. Yeah, you guys called out Eichel right before the Sergachev pick here. I agree. That's pretty late and good value for him. Health is really the only concern there. But if he's healthy and gives you 70, 75 games, he's looking at 90 points on a still very good Vegas team. Kyle was the guy. Okay, yeah, he was off my screen. He was up here right beside Meyer and Trocheck. All right, so after Sanderson, we got Nick Suzuki. It might be a little bit early for him. He actually Aurora goes back to back Habs, so maybe a Habs fan, maybe a French Canadian, maybe. So he goes Caulfield Suzuki. I like the Caulfield pick. The Suzuki one's a little bit early, but maybe he wanted that line combo. Nuge goes. Nuge is a really interesting one. I see a lot of people asking about him in the Discord. He's still a really good power play like point producer. So you're not going to get like 30 goals from him again, probably just because he's not a shooter. But 20 something goals. He's going to give you 25 power play points. He's going to probably play on McDavid's power play. So he's going to get those kind of secondary assists that he just, dug the puck out of the corner and they scored on the power play. So I am okay with Nuge. Doesn't do a whole lot, but if you need points, totally okay with Nuge. Batherson, Konechny. I like Konechny's game a lot. He offers some good value in PIMS leagues because he's good for a couple 10-minute misconducts. So I was just talking to a guy at work today about fantasy hockey and about PIMS leagues, and you just need to draft like a Brady Kachuk or a Travis Konechny, and they'll win you weeks plenty of times when they're down 6-1, they get in a fight and they like get kicked out of the game. That well, there's 10-5 or 10-2 or something, so that can win you weeks right there. So after Konechny, Baby Sharks takes his second D with Devin Tays. The D are a little bit weaker than I would like, probably in the after your seventh round pick. Maybe at that Bob pick, I would have gone with another D, but it's all right. Tays is fine. He's a better Philip Hronik if Makar ever got hurt, and he has been hurt in the past, so totally okay with Tays as like a number 2 or 3, probably a 3 for me. Larkin, Barzal, so back-to-back centers, and then we got Matheson at 7-12. So Potato Sacker takes Matheson at the turn, followed by Lucas Raymond. So we see Raymond go before DeBrincat. Someone asked about that earlier. I just want to make sure DeBrincat hasn't gone. So Raymond, Forsling. Wow, Michikov a little bit early for me at 8-3 by Mamma Mia. He might have needed some right wingers as we were seeing. So right wingers. Right wingers are kind of thin in the drafts as we're seeing. Like you see 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds without a pure right winger or right winger first. So I know some of these guys also split right wing. I think Verhage is one of them. But yeah, Michikov goes a little bit earlier than I would like just because he's a little bit unproven and we don't know what Torts' opinion is on him. Forsling goes, who has probably an equal shot to Ekblad to be PP1. We don't really know yet. Then we see a couple D go after Slavkovsky, Werenski, Truba, Carlson. So Tiger Cats loads up on the bangers after we went over how he was going with the offensive defenseman. So Truba should have a bounce back year. He's good for 100 hits, 100 blocks. He just can't get suspended. EK goes at 8-7, so fitting to take the Penguin D at the 8-7 Crosby pick. Carlson not sure on his health yet this year. He's day to day, I think, right now, and I've heard some words that he's going to be ready for the start of the regular season, and then there's some that's not. So Letang is a great backup or a great handcuff to grab. He's going a lot later than he should because he could easily be a power play 1D. He's been successful in that role before. So if Carlson gets hurt, which he is right now, Penguins are not shy to put Letang right into that role. All right, so we go see Hagel go here. I got mixed opinions on Hagel right now. I think he might be going a little bit higher than I would like just because he's still not one of the guys in Tampa. He's going to probably be PP1, but the puck doesn't really go through him as much as it does with like a guy like Kucherov or like someone like Gensel. Lafreniere goes 8-9, and then DeBrincat goes 8-10. So same round as Raymond, I can say that. Let's see, what's the chat saying here? What do you think of my team? I'm Senor Matthews. Okay, so past EP, so you had a great 1-2 punch there. Barkov in the fourth, Saros. So you took the second goalie off the board. Personally, this is just my opinion. I like to wait a little bit longer on the goalies, so I maybe would have gone with a better D there rather than getting Heiskanen as my first. You took Laugh, which is he's one of the best 5-on-5 players out there. I'm not huge on Laugh just because I don't know if he's going to be PP1. So that kind of steers me away from him. But team's looking good so far. You got really even positions. So we got Besser go 8-11. That's fine for him. As I said, pretty safe 30-goal guy. And then Faber goes to Faber. So that is fitting. I think if anyone else took him, we would have had to use the commish powers and move him on to Faber's team. I'm not high on Besser with this guy yet. So, Jack Anakill. Are you saying Pan or Pam? I'm not sure. Panarin? Is that what I'm talking about? Nuge playing line 1 in camp with McJesus. LOL. Yeah, he could be really valuable in the 7th round if he's playing line 1 PP1. Thoughts on forwards versus FD stacks, better value for Slav Caulfield or Hamilton Meyer? Not really a huge opinion. Probably if you're looking specifically for the stack reason, I would say forward. So like the Slav Caulfield one I like better just because the D aren't always involved in the goals. Like a 2-on-1, for example, they're not going to be involved in. But Hamilton Myers totally fine. They're going to be involved in power play goals together. I just watched your not draft video. I have like five of them. I'd like to know who they are, Michael. I don't think there was any like crazy takes in there. So if you have five of them, maybe look to start flipping some. See if some guys will bite on a trade. Werenski could have gone 2 rounds ago. Great value. I did remember Werenski going 8. Yep, that's correct. So he could have easily gone around the Heiskanen picks or the Sergachev picks. So yeah, that's true. He's just got to stay healthy. That's the only thing with Werenski. Great player, just needs to stay healthy. Verhaeghe's C left wing. Okay, thank you. I didn't know if he was C left wing or right wing. Forzin's a gamble. Would have grabbed Carlson. I agree. Yes, okay, he was taken. I wasn't looking at the board there. Hagel pick is sneaky as hell pick. Love him this year. Yeah, I like Hagel as I mentioned. I just don't know. He's not one of the guys that they are relying on for the offense right now. It kind of goes through Cooch. So all right. So after Faber takes Faber, he takes Markstrom. So that's his first goalie, which is totally fine. This is around the area where I would be taking the Markstrom and the Kempers as my first or second goalie. Frankie V, who I like, goes. Alex Petrangelo goes to Pearl Harbor. That's his third D, and he's really gone with a peripheral-oriented defense core. So Dahlin, Uyghur, and Petro are both going to be guys, or all three of them are going to be guys that give you hits, blocks, in addition to probably some power play points, probably some 5v5 points. So Kemper goes. FP loves him. We all are big on him. And I think he's probably going a little too low. Rob Thomas, Noah Hannafin goes, so the likely D1 to start. Hannafin goes. Kyrou, who I love, goes 9. These FPPL drafts are kind of making me reconsider how late I think I can get Kyrou in some of my other leagues. I was thinking closer to like the 11-12 area for him. I think that's around where his ADP is, but back-to-back leagues, he's gone way higher than I would have thought. So I like him too, and he's got 40 goal upside really on him. Patty Kane, Marchessault, JT, Nico Hischier, Chris Letang. So there goes Letang to Potato Sacker. That's a good pick. That's only his second D too. So he'll need to get a couple of those sleeper D, maybe like a Brant Clark. Alex Georgiev goes to Potato Sacker. I don't love him, but it's his number 2 goalie. So he's got 2 really good goalies that could both finish with like 30 plus wins. So Gio's just got to play like the Gio we have seen from him and not the Gio he was last year. Bettman takes Marchand, so that's fitting. Bettman's probably going to have to suspend his own player this year, Brad Marchand, at the 10-2 pick. Then we got Mamma Mia, Baby Sharks go back-to-back D, Seth Jones and Shea Theodore. Allmark, Luukkonen, Tuck. So a couple Sabres and Sens go from the Atlantic Division. Atlantic Division in real life, not the Atlantic Division draft. Is a Wicked Guy, great 5v5, now getting PP1 looks. Yep, I think, what did he get, 30 goals last year with like minimal PP1 time, so yeah, he's good. Without Gaudreau, anyone think Werenski is a huge risk? Columbus has no offense. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the only reason. There was probably risk before any sort of incidents with the team and with the players, so there was injury risk to begin with Werenski. I would look at that more so than losing a single player. They also have been really impressed with some of their young guys. I've heard good things about Kent Johnson, who's looked really, really good in preseason so far. So I've heard some good things coming out of there. There's just going to be some more opportunity for some of the young guys. Fantilli, Kent Johnson, Marchenko, guys that kind of are not being drafted right now and in the depths of fantasy, but they could emerge. Hagel stinks. I disagree. You're either like a Panthers fan, Pat, or maybe you're a bitter Chicago fan for trading him. I don't know. Pam Step Brothers reference. Okay, I do recognize that. I've seen Step Brothers a few times. I didn't. I was thinking hockey terms, so I was thinking Pan as in Panarin. Miller, Marchand, and Raymond are on my team. Um, okay, Miller as in JT Miller. Marchand definitely I would have said is a must avoid, but it depends where you get him. Raymond, I'm not going to talk anymore about Raymond in case FP Chris is watching. Can someone explain to me what Robertson was thinking on the Nylander play last night? Okay, that's I'll try and talk to that quickly, but then I'll catch up with the picks. Um, I think he was doing something that he thought was going to be helpful, and we've seen it a couple times where they poke the back of their player's stick to kind of give them a little like super boost on a back check, and it ended up not working out for him because obviously Nylander fell and smoked his head off of like the I think it was New Hook's shin pad or someone on Montreal's shin pad. So it ended up backfiring. He was trying to help him out, and I think that's the worst part is that he was trying to be a good guy and help his teammate back check, but it's one of those things where it's like you're only doing it because you're behind the guy and not back checking. So I didn't work out for him, but he meant well. I think Nylander went down a little bit easy too. He might have thought it was a Montreal stick, is what I was hearing too, and kind of trying to draw like a hooking or a tripping penalty. But anyways, it was unfortunate. I think Nylander's going to be fine, so I wouldn't worry about it fantasy wise. Nick Robertson, he just got to maybe put his trade requests behind him now. He owes the team um, this season, if considering he's just hurt one of our star players. All right, so Tuck goes to Matthews, little mustache. Aurora goes with Brant Clark, so a little bit early for Brant, especially as the number 2D. Um, I'm okay with taking Brant late, but he doesn't really offer much peripheral wise, and time on ice wise is a bit of a concern too. I think someone mentioned to Clark about 18 minutes per night today. Beat one of the beat writers in an interview, and he said he's ready for 18 minutes. And then they went to the head coach Hillier, and they asked him about that comment, and he said, "Oh, he'll get 18 minutes if he deserves it." So he's got to earn it. Clearly, I don't know really who else is going to get the minutes there if they're not at least giving Clark 18 minutes a night. So he's just got to get a little bit more confidence in the NHL. He's another guy too. He's produced at pretty much every level, so I'm not that worried about Clark, and he's still young. Paterka goes, and then we see back-to-back goalies, Hill and Wall. Marty Natchez goes at the turn, followed by Rupe Hintz. So Faber got Wyatt Johnston and Hintz. That could be a good stack for him. Also only got one goalie, 3D so far. Kadri goes to Smart Ahos. So Kadri just got hurt today. I'm hoping he isn't out too long. He's a really good shot on goal rate guy. So a little bit weaker team this year on Calgary, but he's still going to be a good producer. Probably the 1C there still, power play one. So Aho's already got 3D as well. Three really good ones. I love that trio there. Darnell Nurse goes to Pearl Harbor, so he is just loading up on the bangers D. Not even considering an offensive defenseman. Nurse is going to give you the hits and blocks. Probably not more than like 30 points this season, but we've seen worse. Ekholm kind of stepped over him as like the number 2 offensive defenseman there ever since Bouchard took the number 1 spot. Nurse was always that number 2 guy, but now it's kind of turned into Ekholm because he had a really good second half. Velarde goes, who's an FP fave. Perfetti, who just signed. Might have got a little late start in camp, but he just signed with the Jets, so he is good to go for the regular season. Kochkov goes to little Matthews with his second goalie, but only first goalie that's signed. Blake Coleman goes to Tiger Cats. Falk goes to Joe Swell team, so that's a nice little pick there in the 11th. Freddie Anderson goes really close to his crease mate Kochkov. Baby Sharks takes his second goalie as well. Mamma Mia goes Quinton Byfield, who I mentioned I like this year a lot. Kind of like a Nuge player. Needs to improve his shot on goal rate a little bit, but he's got too many shooters around him. Binner goes to Bettman, Chikrin, and Dunn go on the turn to Potato Sacker. So he's got 4D now. Matheson, Letang, Chikrin, and Dunn, who could be very good and kind of like quiet D, like guys that are going aren't even the most like prominent name on their team. But only one I'm a little concerned about is Chikrin in the 11th. I still think Carlson's going to be PP1 there. So if Chikrin's PP2 on a Washington team that probably won't make the playoffs this year, I'm a little worried, but it should be okay. He still has good shot volume when he's healthy. Shifley, DeBrusque, Sanheim. I don't think we saw Sanheim go last draft, but Baby Sharks takes him all the way in the 12th. Lindholm goes, which is a good pick. Again, I mentioned last draft, playing first line center, gonna play power play 1 with Pasternak. So similar to like a Nuge where I was talking, he's going to get those secondary assists. Lindholm's going to be on the ice. Pass is going to do his thing and score 50 goals. Lindholm's going to probably assist on at least 20 of them just because he's on the ice with him, right? So I like the Lindholm pick, even if he's a pure C. It's not a big deal. It's 12th round. Bo Horvat, really safe 30 goal guy. Drew Doughty goes to Lil Matthews. Not a huge fan of that. It's a stash, but 12th round, I would have probably waited maybe until like the 14th or 15th for Doughty if I was going to take him. But it's an okay stash if he comes back. Maybe by Christmas time I was estimating, then it's going to be good. So we see back-to-back injury stashes because Aurora takes Arturi Lehkonen, and then we see Harley go and Samsonov. All right. Yeah, so Wicked, you were answering the question too about Willie going down a little easy. Mike Hathaway, JT Miller was the Miller talking about. Okay, I don't mind Miller. I think it was probably, I actually haven't seen the video, if I'm being honest, about the do not drafts, but I think if it was probably more of a phrased as don't take him earlier than you need to, and it's going to be really league dependent. So leagues with high peripheral needs, like high hit, high shot, high block. JT Miller's a really good player. He's going to probably get 90 points again this year on a team that should make the playoffs. I'm not that off of him or fading of him. Josh says, in a 10-team league with max 2 goalies each, 1 roster spot, do you recommend 1 elite goalie or go 0G strategy? 10-team league, I'm probably going to lean towards the 0G strategy. Just because there's going to be so much available in a 10-team league. If we were talking like 14 or 16-team league, maybe I would try and get a goalie early just because there's going to be really, really less on the waiver wire. You're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel for like a G2 and G3. But in 10-team league, feel free to do the 0G or like hybrid 0G with like a Markstrom or a Kemper. Willie did go down easy. I agree. I'm surprised you guys don't have more followers. The best fantasy content on the internet. And it's not close. Way better than Apples and Chinos. Thank you, Muiz. I appreciate it. Hey, if you guys want us to be have more followers, it's all up to you guys, right? So spread the word. I know it's kind of like a bittersweet thing where you want to tell your friends about a good fantasy hockey resource, but you don't want them to steal our content and our players that we recommend to you guys. So kind of tough situation there, but we do always appreciate the followers. We're approaching that 10K mark on YouTube, so that's going to be a good milestone for us that maybe we can hit this year with your guys' help. With 1G spot, easily G. Yeah, I agree, especially because of the 10-man league. Mikey Anderson could take PP1 for LA, I feel. I don't know about that. I feel like he's probably third in line behind Clark and Jordan Spence. Mikey's not really known as like a offensive defenseman, so I would be shocked if that happens without more injuries. Nick Robb got a rock in the sock treatment last night for sure. Not by the team. Yeah, probably a kangaroo court incident for Nick Robb. He probably got fined by the team for that, but it's all in I guess like good fun. He didn't mean to do it. Kadri or Horvat. Horvat playing with Dobson and Barzal is a huge advantage. But the shot and goal. Yeah, I would probably go Horvat too. I'm still a little concerned with the Isles offense. They're not really an offensive team. Kind of a boring hockey team in terms of fantasy because they play a really defensive-minded game. But yeah, I like Horvat. Probably a little bit of a better team and more consistent, I would say, than Kadri. My team is stacked. Pat, what's your team? Let me have a look at it. Appreciate the feedback. Loving these draft streams. Thank you, Josh. We appreciate you guys a lot. We love just sharing our kind of suggestions, our content. So kind of what keeps us going, and we appreciate the love. All right, so Pearl Harbor takes Sammy. He goes with the Vegas goalie stack, which I like. That's probably my favorite goalie stack to do this year if I was going to do it. Not a big fan of it because you're limiting your start totals. Not both of them can't start the same game, but if you're going to do a stack, I like the Vegas in terms of the value and the team. That's probably the strongest team goalie stack available realistically. We see Gostisbehere go to Smart Aho, so he takes his teammate. Aho goes to the Carolina PP1D. Gostisbehere, solid pick in the 12th round. Ehlers goes at the last pick. I like Ehlers this year. I've liked him for a couple years. He just needs to prove to me that he's that point per game player that we think he can be, and his coach needs to give him that opportunity. Odds in my favor follows Ehlers up with Luke Hughes. That's a stash on the injury reserve. Okay with that. A reminder for FPPL: if you haven't drafted, we have IR stashes spots, so IR plus IR. Take advantage of it. If you find a guy on waivers that's hurt and you're like, I might want him in a month, add him to your IR. It costs you one ad. Um, McCann, Brock Nelson, two guys I think went really close to each other last draft too. I like both of them again, 30 points at a minimum, or 30 goals at a minimum. And then we get the D run here in the 13th. York, Hudson, Burns, Ekholm, Ekblad. So a couple guys that could be on PP1 at some point this year. I think York will start. Ekblad, I think will start, but just some D2 possible handcuff picks. Thomas Hurdle, and then Cutter Gauthier. So I mentioned Gauthier last draft. He had 12 shots on goal last night. So again, it was against San Jose, and I get it's preseason, but 12 shot on goals. You can't ignore that. He is kind of a late sleeper now all of a sudden. So I wasn't sure what his usage was going to be like. They played him for 20 minutes last night too. Like they were giving him a really really good look. I will be taking him probably in my leagues like with my last two or three picks. Boone Jenner, Malkin, great picks there. Malkin, like if he's healthy, like that's a really easy like center three, center two to take. He also paired him with Crosby, Potato Sacker did so I like that. Brothers, blood brothers. Gunther goes 14th round. That's a little bit more reasonable for him. I think he was a little bit early last round in like the 11th, I want to say. Shabbat, Pionk, Arvidsson, Zuccarello, Zegras, Buchnevich, Bolkfist, Teravainen. I don't think Teravainen went last draft either, so that's a new one. He's okay. Probably going to be PP1 just because Chicago doesn't really have a ton of options to put there. He might be a good pass guy, like an assist guy for Bedard, for Kurashev too, who I don't mind in some deep leagues. Guys that shoot the puck a little bit. I could see like 25 goals from Kurashev this year, 25-30 if things go a little bit better in Chicago, but they're going to need health and they're going to need some goaltending. Looking back to in the 14th round here, Shabbat. Sanderson's probably going to start on PP1, but Shabbat has had some success in his career with the power play, so they may go to him at some point. Maybe if Sanderson wants to take like a kind of Mo Sider role, where they're playing him 20 plus minutes, but they're using him on like 5-on-5 more than they're focusing on with the PP. So Arvidsson goes. He's a sleeper. Like we don't know what to expect. He had some good hit and shot volumes in LA. So and Nashville. I actually have his Nashville Predators jersey, Arvidsson. I got it like maybe a year before he moved to LA. Zuccarello, Zegras, Buchnevich. That's a pretty good pick in the 14th round, mid 14. Love that. There's a couple guys that are sneaky from St. Louis. I think you're gonna see an Instagram post pretty soon about some hot takes that the FP guys made. So one of them is about St. Louis and particularly Kyrou, but a healthy St. Louis core is gonna contribute to that hot take. We see Demko go 14th. Totally okay with that. That's Pearl Harbor's third goalie, and it's an IR stash maybe, depending on what we see from Demko. He's been laboring in practice a little bit, so don't know what his health is, to be honest. They may very well just run three goalies to start. Corpusalo goes to Smart Ahos. He has been watching our videos. He's been in the Discord clearly. Corpusalo, 14th, great pick as your number 2. That's totally fine. So, if Swayman signs and comes back, you might have to look on the waiver wire for like a Tarasov or a Dustin Wolf, but totally good now. Brian Rust, Trevor Moore at the turn. Now I get a little break with Ahos picking. I'll read the chat here. Pat Eau Claire Potato Sacker. Okay, I recognize your name in the Discord. You've been in there a lot. I like that. Yeah, your team's looking good. You had a little bit of a shaky start with the D, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but it's turned out pretty well. You've got 4 pretty good D, so I'm okay with that. Definitely okay with Gio as your second goalie too. How do you like Chell? How do you like C Hill as a goalie? I'm not really sure what you're asking, Mike. Mike Halfway. Um, Not potato sack. LMAO. How do you pronounce it, Pat? Because I'm pronouncing it potato sacker. That's kind of what I read it as. FP Don with the S tier commentary. Thank you, Wicked. You're the goat. Senior Matthews going off. Luke. Is that your team, Luke? Senior Matthews? I do like Paterka, Velarde, York. Like I like that you've been listening to the FP content. So those are 3 guys that we love. Kemper as well. Oh yeah, this is a really FP team. I like it. Can't complain. I got Crosby, Malkin, Letang, PP unit. Oh, that's true. You did get Letang as well. I missed that when I was looking at Crosby. That's great. Yeah. Hey, Pittsburgh. They could surprise a lot of people. They just were on that kind of like playoff cusp last year, so they could very easily do it again, and that means they're going to have a winning record. So their goals need to be scored to win games. Blake Coleman is on my do not draft list. Dude is so streaky. I agree, Justin. He's probably on do not draft for me too. Kind of just I think he kind of fit into Calgary's schemes last year, given that they were kind of open to someone to step up. He did step up, so I'll give him that. Took advantage of the opportunity of the guys leaving the team, so they were getting rid of some guys like Lindholm, and he had a pretty good year. But I don't like him higher than like maybe around 14. Drop a like. Thank you, Luke. Yes, please drop a like if you're enjoying the content. Not necessarily just this stream, but any of the streams, any of the videos. We appreciate the likes. Spread the word and give us a follow on our social medias. The link is below in the description, in our bio too. So we have a link tree with all the links to our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikTok, our Discord, our Patreon, wherever you want to get our content from. Look at all those 30 plus goal scorers in later rounds, Mike. Yeah, I agree, man. There's a lot of like guys that could bury 30 and they're falling so late just because that's kind of what they're known for. Like McCann, Nelson. I'm a big Nelson guy. He's so reliable. 250 shot lock. Tarasov's a sleeper. Yeah, I know Mike likes Tarasov a lot. I'm a little like less. I like him a little bit less just because of the team he's on. And I also don't think he's going to get like a 75% share or anything with Merzlikins. He'll probably be closer to like 60-40. But he had a really good end of the year, so you never know what he'll bring. How's Senior looking? Yeah, I was mentioning that this was a good FP team. You got Saros and Kemper, who you're set for goalies now. Don't have to worry about that, hopefully, for the season. Pata Tosker. Oh, Pata Tosker. Okay. I will probably not pronounce it like that, but that's good to know. I'm probably still going to say potato sacker. I think Hathaway meant Connor Hellebuck. Oh, maybe. Oh, C. Hell. Yeah, you're right. That is definitely right, Josh. Thank you. How do you like C. Hell as a goalie? He's probably the second or third best goalie for fantasy just because of the shot volume. But you have to take him early if you're going to take him. I prefer to hold off on the goalies. So I kind of won't be taking him. I don't know if I've ever actually owned him, to be honest. But nope, not me, but I'm a fan. Senior. Oh, that's good. I like that. You guys gotta pick the teams that you think will win. All right, so getting back to the picks, we saw Trevor Moore go, Nichushkin for the IR stash. Is that no? That's not. That's Aho's first stash. Okay, Kuzmenko goes. As mentioned, Kuzmenko had a really good Calgary run last year. So when he got traded to Calgary, he was a really good player and he deserved to be rostered at that point. We just need to see that again this year. He's another guy. We've seen like I think 38, 39 goals from him. Could easily come back to that if that shooting improves and if that shot rate improves. So he has good shooting percentage, but he doesn't shoot enough. Fantilli, Celebrini, that's a little bit better for Celebrini. Um, 50, 60 points. Someone was asking about him. I'm okay with him there. Kopitar, Giroux. I did notice Giroux was not on PP1 as of today. He was on the PP2 practice lines, so a little concerning there that he might be father time might be catching up to him, but he's still pretty reliable. And when in doubt, Ottawa will resort back to their vets. They love guys like Travis Hamonic for some reason, and they just play him a ridiculous amount. Skinner, Toffoli, Sam Erson. So that is kind of the like a goalie in wait for Mamma Mia. So he took Sorokin in the sixth and then waited for a depth goalie like Erson. Colton Parayko goes. He was an interesting one and could be someone that maybe they go to on PP1 in St. Louis if Falk isn't working out or he's hurt. Cooley goes at the turn, followed by Tyler Bertuzzi. I don't think Bertuzzi went last round or last draft, sorry. So that's an interesting one. Connor Ingram goes by to Bettman. So yeah, Ingram goes to Bettman. Ingram was the first goalie that Datsuki and Deeks took last draft as his number one. So I think that's Bettman's number three actually. So that's pretty crazy considering that was someone's one. But that's the 0G strat for you. Mamma Mia with Landy, he's expecting the stash. Just don't know what to expect from Landy. He has missed so much time. I can't see him coming back and just being the same bangers gem he was. But you never know. So now we're getting into like the fun picks, the guys that people just like. Kraus, Bunting, Byram. I think three guys that we didn't see go last draft, but we're seeing here. Bunting, I think, should be on the top six, maybe on Crosby's line. If not, it'll be Malkin's probably. Byram is kind of the number two there now. I think he kind of leapfrogged Owen Power in terms of like a PP specialist. He's a little bit more offensive than Power is. Stallers, Seelovs goes, so two depth goalies for Matthews and Aurora. That's Matthews' third goalie, so he's got Swayman, Koch. Yeah, he wouldn't need to take a third just because we don't know when Swayman's signing. So glad to see he got his third. Hellebuck and Seelovs for Borealis. So Hellebuck, as someone was mentioning in the comments, he's a very stable goalie, going to get lots of volume. Stankoven goes. He was guy I was mentioning was also shooting a ton in preseason. Going to be really promising if he can keep that up in the regular season. He should get top six, maybe middle 6 minutes in Dallas. But if he keeps producing, they're going to have no choice but to play him. Here's a couple FP guys now, Justice and Noonan to Pearl Arbor. That's a good pick. That's actually his fourth goalie. So Pearl Arbor is loading up on the goalies. I guess he just had to sneak a Noonan in there because of the value. Jake Neighbors. This is probably one of my favorite picks of the draft so far. I love Neighbors this year. He's looks like he's playing first line left wing on a St. Louis team that I was mentioning is going to be in a hot take for FP coming up pretty soon. There's a chance that they can make the playoffs, guys. So I wouldn't rule them out. I know a lot of people don't think about them anymore. Not that they won their cup and have kind of like exited their like playoff runs, but I love Neighbors. He had a high shooting percentage last year, but it's the second last round, so anything close to that will be beneficial. Phil Gustafson at 16-12 is amazing as well. Good pick by Faber. That is goalie 2 for him. I think everybody's got their 2 goalies now. Some have 3, some have 4. Philip Hronik was the turn. Rasmus Anderson, that's a great pick at 17. Also a guy that's just really stable. They lost some D in Calgary, so Rasmus should be able to kind of maintain that number 2, number 3 role. I like his blocks as well. He's a good shot blocker. Dylan Cousins, Dustin Wolf there. So I was mentioning Wolf. That's a good number 3, even a number 2 if you were punting goalies. that Eric Gustafson, we did not see him go. I think he's probably going to be PP1 to start the year in Detroit. So a little bit risky, but we did see him get 60 points probably 4 or 5 years ago in Chicago. So we know we got it in him. Dursey goes Evander Kane for the IR stash by Tiger Cats. Cam Talbot to Joseph Swell team. So that's another interesting goalie. He should probably see the majority of the start share. Owen Power, Joey Decord, Matt Duchene, who went really early last round. I think he went 11th round in the first draft. And then on the clock goes last overall. So I got to go see, unless Potato Sacker, you're still in here and you want to share who you picked last. All right. First, I've seen Urson getting drafted. Yeah, a couple people have mentioned his name in the Discord just as like a goalie to add, but I agree. I haven't seen him getting drafted much. I draft tomorrow taking Matt Rempe first round plum. That's a pretty good draft. If there's like Pims in your league and Pims are worth like 40 points, that might work out for you. Which center to draft in Utah? I would probably go with Schmaltz, I guess. I think he's got C eligibility. I'm not really taking a ton of Utah guys, like maybe Keller up front, but that's about it. Not a bad draft. I agree, Jack. Good draft, guys. I feel pretty good. I'm Josh gives his points, his scoring cats, and then he says I'm picking Rantanen at the sixth pick. I'm targeting Rantanen, Pasta, or Brady. Any advice? Okay, so Pasta's probably going to be gone at 6. If he's not, you can definitely take him with goals being more than assists. If Pasta's gone, I like Rantanen there with those cats. Hits and blocks only 0.5. Brady's good. I just think 6 is a little bit early for him. I would be looking at like Pasta, Rantanen, or even Draisaitl. Definitely didn't win the draft, but it was fun. I was pressured into picking Coleman by my roommate. Haha. All right, Connor. Let me have a look at your team here with Coleman. That helped narrow it down. Where's Coleman here? Can't find him. All right, let me know what team you are, Connor. I'll have a look. Should I drop Gustafson for Brant Clark or Adam Boqvist? You can probably drop him for Clark if you want. I'm still a little cautious on Boqvist just because we don't even know for sure if PP1's a thing. Clark I like a little bit more just because I feel like he's more secure to get that PP1 role. Gustafson also is looking at PP1, so you're looking at kind of those like soft PP1 offensive defensemen. Either or is going to work. Zellweger that Pat took last is also kind of in that category. Should be PP1, but he doesn't really do a ton right now for us to kind of recommend and suggest him. Okay, that's good to know. Any of you guys still in here? If you want me to take a look at your team, just shoot me your team name in the chat. I will have a look. I'll be on for another like probably 5-10 minutes. My voice is getting tired, throat getting dry after how long are we going here? A couple hours of streaming. Who do you think has the best team? Who's going to win, in your opinion? Okay. Well, I'll pick. I'll try and narrow top 3 like I did with the last group. Okay. Okay, so looking at the teams here, a couple people like their teams. All right, Tiger Cats. I'll have a look at it. I did like odds in my favor start. He had a really good like 1 through 9, 1 through 10. Oh, okay. So I think I like odds in my favor. He's got a good team. Let me have a look at the rest here. Pearl Harbor. That's a good middle. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's pretty solid. 6, 7, 8, 9. Pasta, Peterson, Stutzla. This is a really FP team, as I was saying. Senior Matthews, Aurora Borealis. He had a couple picks a little bit earlier than I would have liked. Hagel, Clark, Perfetti in particular. Matthews' little mustache probably had a great. He probably had the best recovery that I've seen in terms of an auto draft first pick. Quinn Hughes is probably like a second rounder. So like all you really did was swap Panarin and Hughes. But again, we'll connect on that later if you're still in here. Meyer, Thompson, Kempe. I love three great players there. 3, 4, 5. Swayman, a little risky, but if he comes back, that's a great pick. Nuge, Carlson, like that team. That's a good one too. Tiger Cats, Draisaitl, Bouchard. So he goes with the Edmonton stack here. He's got Draisaitl, Bouchard, Skinner, any other Oilers, and Kane, and Ekholm. Holy. All right, so you're really focusing on the strong teams, I can tell. You got some Toronto in here, you got some Rangers in here, got some Winnipeg, Minnesota. So no bad teams, really, except for like Anaheim here. This is a pretty good team. Goalies, I like Skinner there. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's good there. Two goalies is totally fine. 12-man league, there's lots of value still on the wire. Joe's swell team. Brady, Nylander, good start. And then you kind of reached on a couple here with Trocheck. Kane, not huge on at 9. Also, the only one I saw that has drafted Bunting so far. Baby Sharks here. A little high for Taze, but as I mentioned, he's a good number 2D on Colorado. Could be a good handcuff. Freddie Anderson. It's an okay team. Mamma Mia. Reached a little high on Michikov there. JT I like at 9. That's a great value. And Jones and Byfield. And he did take Cutter, so I guess you were in the stream earlier. Bettman's Boogeyman. Potato Sacker. This is a good team. Potato Sacker. Hughes, Keller, Matheson, Raymond. Okay, so I'll narrow at least my top 3 down. I'm going to say odds in my favor. Pearl Harbor. And it's close between Smart Ahos and Lil Mustache. I'll put those guys tied in the top 3. So those 4. That's my top 4. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Let me answer these questions first. Felt like Arbor and Odds had my number. Tariq, were you drafting in this, Tariq? What was your team? How about Bettman's squad? Where are you, Bettman? Yeah, you had a good start. I mean, you got the first goalie, so you said screw the no goalie strategy. Totally okay with that if you're going to get the first one. Third round is not by any means a stretch. Grabbed a couple vets here, which hopefully will pay off health wise. I do like the first half of your draft better than the second, but I like Boone there. Boone should be good if he's healthy. I don't know. I know you had said something about it earlier, but don't worry about it. You can't get to it. But I sent my draft in the Discord. Okay. I will. I'll pull it up on my phone. How after I read these? How about Matthew's mustache? Yeah, man, you're in the top 3. I said you got. Don't even worry about the Quinn Hughes pick. If Big Red, if that is your team, I'll connect with you after. As I said, you pretty much Panarin's a first rounder in a lot of leagues. Quinn Hughes is a second rounder in a lot of leagues. You pretty much just swapped the first 2, and it didn't really cost you. You had a really, really good recovery. As I said, 3 through 7 are good picks. So that's why I think you're in like the top 3, 4 teams. I also like the Booch pick. Tiger Cat with Coleman. Okay. Oh yes, you're the Edmonton strong team guy. Yeah, this is a solid team. I like Horvat at 12, so you might have thought you reached on Coleman a little bit, but you recovered with Horvat. If Evander Kane comes back, that'll be a gem for you in the last round. And yeah, you got some good players. Batherson's a little bit high at 7. I would like him closer to the Kyrou range, but I do like Kyrou a lot. I like a lot of St. Louis guys this year for their value. Good stream, by the way. Thank you, Big Red. Thank you for joining and drafting if you did. Could you review my team odds in favor? Nate Dogg. Okay, I recognize your name. Yeah, you had a great draft. You're in the top 3 of my. You're in the top 3 or 4 of my favorite teams. Wyatt at 7 is great. I like that a lot. You also did the goalie strategy, which we kind of do like the hybrid fade. So I like Markstrom at 9. Natchez at 10 is really good too. I know FP Chris loves Natchez. So that's a guy that I'm totally fine in the double digit rounds. If Hughes comes back and takes PP1, that'll be great for you. Ehlers and Hintz are great there in the double digits. You had a really good second half, I think. Rust should be PP1 in Pittsburgh, so you're getting that in the bottom of the draft. Great stream, Don. I always love joining the streams when I can call and chill. Thank you, St. Louis Goofy. Thank you for joining. Keep up the activeness in the Discord. Vetrano pick was a rush. That's okay. Vetrano is going to be fine for this league. He's a good category coverage guy, and they're not going to not play him with his season he had last year. Calling out the Oilers stack. It's not even a call out. It's like kind of impressive. Like they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, so they're not a nobody. It wasn't intentional. Yes, I'm an Oilers fan, so it's a little bit intentional. You got to take the bias out of fantasy, but it worked out for you. As long as you're not like an Anaheim fan or a San Jose fan, and you're taking the stacks there, it's totally okay to do that. Reach for Mitchkov because I'm a Flyers fan. Okay, so kind of exactly what I said before. Take the biases out, but Mitchkov, I have no idea what to expect from him. I'm kind of going to assume that's 50, 60 point range that Celebrini will get into, but it's going to come down to what Torts thinks of him. Frost or Couturier? I like Frost. I think he's PP1 this year. Couturier's got the health concerns. Legend Pierre-Luc Dubois, worth drafting. Someone drafted him last draft, I believe, and he's totally okay to take. I think he's kind of like the 2C right now. I've seen Strome as the 1C and the PP1 centerman in Washington, but Dubois, if he kind of can be anything like he was in Columbus, he's a good bangers target, so he hits. Tariq, you were smart. Ahos, yeah, you had a good team. I like that team. You were up here, yeah. Yeah, this is a good team. You got the Cork pick, got the Nichushkin pick, got one of my favorite picks this year in Neighbors, and then Anderson is like should be going about 4 rounds earlier, so that's great. Joseph Swell team rating. All right, let's see. So started with Brady at 8, Nylander. So the Trocheck pick, as I said, a little bit too high. I get you want that category coverage a little bit high for Trocheck. You can probably wait until like round 5. Fiala, Konechny, Werenski. So I like Werenski there as a number 2. That's fine because you had Sider. Kane a little bit early. I'm not huge on him, and I don't know about how many years he's got left in him after that pretty big surgery he had. Allmark as your G2 is totally good, and then you got Cam Talbot. So you got 3G. You probably won't have to worry about goalies unless someone jumps out at you in place of Talbot. As I mentioned, only one to draft Bunting. Skinner's an interesting one. That's a guy like that. If he's playing with the right people in Edmonton, he could easily bury 30, 35. Ekblad, you're just praying for PP1, which he might have an inside track to. And then Lindholm, I was raving about him earlier. He's great. That's a pretty good draft, Joe. So I would be happy with that. Have a good night, Pat. Thank you. Thanks, Pat. Outside of a Toronto, happy with the squad though. Yep. As I said, don't let one pick ruin your draft, Tariq. So Vetrano, I like Vetrano, and I think we've called him out a couple times on FP Twitter. GG, thanks Static for joining. Frost PP1 right now. Thank you, Wicked, for confirming. Okay, I think that's it. 9:45. I am pretty tired. I'm gonna probably finish the end of this baseball game with the Jays getting stomped on in 14-5 in the 7th right now. And then probably go to bed. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave, and I'll see you guys in the Discord. Feel free to shoot me any messages throughout the night. I'll be checking periodically. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.